What's going on, everybody? How about them Cowboys?
Are they still them
Woo!
boys or no?
Hell of a
Mm.
win on Sunday, boys. Hell of a win. Makes for a great week when we come out of it after a Cowboys loss, isn't it?
It's the greatest feeling.
Oh man, it game was enough to make your fucking blood pressure raise up a little bit, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, two good teams going at it and an NFC East battle. So, I mean, we were here and both teams were all relatively healthy for the first time. And I don't know how many matchups that we've had over the years, or nobody's sitting because of playoffs or, on one side or the other. So it's finally we got an early slugfest going, and it lived up to its hype for everything.
Yeah, it sure did. Well, for those of you tuning in for the first time, welcome to Birds the Word. We're brought to you by Old City Sports Network. Be sure to check us out on Facebook at Birds the Word and Old City Sports. Also, be sure to check us out on Twitter. All of our Twitter handles are underneath our picture here on the screen. You can also check us out. The Birds the Word at Birds the Word 57 is the Birds the Word show Twitter page. We also have at Old Sport. Be sure to go there and check out all the other shows that Old City Sports has got going on, and got a little Instagram page going now too. So got some good stuff out there, and we're definitely getting after it. Carrington, what's your thoughts, man?
I mean, could you imagine how well the game would have gone for the Eagles if they had a quarterback instead of a running back at the position? I mean, I just the possibilities are endless. I heard all this talk about how Jalen Hurts was going to regress and be terrible, and all he's shown is that the more adversity that's thrown his way, the better he gets every single time. And last time I checked, 8-1 beats 5-3, right? Because I just wanted to make sure I was up on all the info because I've been hearing a lot about moral victories.
Yeah, I mean, 90, yeah, no, it's. I mean, to come out of this, it. We knew this game was going to be a test. We had talked about this at length, quite a bit, and you know, we knew this was where the competition was going to lie within the division. We knew that this was kind of going to be that test of the whether or not we were going to um, retain division champion, from last season, and I think we rose to the occasion. Now, mind you, I definitely wish that we could have played um, a better football overall. I mean, there was definitely some things that were lacking in some areas in some regard. Not a very well disciplined game out of those guys. Ended up being 10 penalties for a 98 yards, which is pretty significant, especially when you look at us not having any penalties. I think it was against Miami, so it's to flip flop in that case kind of sucks. But it we and I think it was you, or I think Matt might have said it. He's like, good teams find ways to win, and that's what these guys are doing, regardless of what's in front of them. And yeah, this was a game enough to give you a heart attack. I had to call my dad and make sure that he was still alive after that game was over. He said that he pretty sure he could feel his blood pressure going up. So it was definitely a barn burner, all the way down to the last play. So, but we're 8-1.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Good teams always find ways to win. They've all we kept hearing last year is that the Eagles aren't as good as everybody thinks they were because of the record that they have. The record isn't that good. You haven't played anybody. The strength of schedule sucks. That's all we heard the entire time when we went all the way to the Super Bowl going on. And then
Yeah.
this year we come in with one of the hardest schedules from top to bottom at the beginning of the season, scheduled out, and we lose to a good Jets defense when we just played horrendous. But
Right.
from there on, you play in the NFL for a reason. Everybody compares to last year. Oh, it doesn't look as pretty. All right,
Right.
you want to look pretty and lose, or do you want to look ugly and win? Because I'll take a win 10 out of 10 times. It doesn't matter how it looks, because at the end of the day, that's all that matters. It doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah.
So, and then we keep hearing, oh, if they play like this against Miami, they're not gonna win. We still didn't play. I mean, we probably played our best game against them, and ended up winning. And then, oh, if you do that against Dallas, you're not going to win. We fumbled the ball 3 times
And recovered it 3 times.
Luckily didn't give it away, because AJ
Yeah.
Brown, I think, had the hardest hit of the season on DeAndre Swift coming across the line.
Yeah, I know, right?
But
Yeah.
ended up recovering it, and the defense in this bend don't break thing. But good teams make plays when it matters, and Josh Sweat beat his man when he needed to for a 15-yard loss on Dak Prescott, or what it was. And Dak not having the wherewithal at that moment should have just clocked the ball and had 2 plays to go in, but he decided to rush it, thank goodness, and that left for only one more 22-yard pass, which is a very low percentage thing. So
Right.
They just keep winning football games. It doesn't matter what it is. We're down at halftime, and it's like, okay, doing this. We see Jalen go down. I know all of our buttholes were puckering like this when we saw him down on all fours, and I was like,
Yep.
well, this was a fun ride. I'll see you guys next year. I'm gonna go bury my head in the hand.
Yeah.
Then
So,
he gets up and he jogs in. Jesse.
Yeah. Jesse checks in, says, "What up, you scallywags?"
And then,
Jesse.
yeah. And then,
but yeah, you're absolutely right.
Runs into the locker room, and he just comes out, and then the very first play, he has a 12-yard run. It's like, okay, this guy's back, and
that was totally intentional. That Nick was like, your ass is going out there and running. If you say that you're good, you're going out there and showing everybody that you're fine.
And just imagine what that does for your team. You see your guy who just got paid $200 and some odd million, who doesn't need to be out here running around like crazy right now. You know what I mean? Doing all this, but he is. And those guys follow suit, and they played their asses off. Defense played their ass off. I know they got, CeeDee Lamb kind of ate him alive out of the slot, and kind of ate Bradbury up, a little bit. But
definitely delve into that. We got
the stats. Yeah, the rest of the stats look pretty good. They told them to, Tony Pollard had 51 yards rushing on 12 carries. I'll take that all day, every day.
And
I mean, they had 73 yards total rushing, period. It wasn't a good day for rushing for them at all.
No,
right.
Not at all.
And I think it says something that teams just give up. Basically, they're giving up rushing. We're the second most targeted team as far as pass attempts go. People are passing on us the second most out of anybody in the league, and we're not even talking about dealing with these monumental leads here. People are talking about we haven't put the game. Well, we're dominant enough in that area, and I think Zach Cunningham, we can get into that, but deserves a lot of credit too. Just a ton. As well as Morrow for being ready. But our run defense is so stifling and, so secure in many areas that some of the bigger plays they're making, you're going to have holding calls because they're having to wear guys like jerseys and shirts so that they don't, jet through and tackle for loss. So I think when you're getting all the pressures and you're doing everything you're doing, we're leaving an imprint that's bigger than most people expect in the run game. I mean, it's hard to top last year, but we are topping last year.
Yeah, especially when it was a big concern for us coming into this. I mean, linebacker was the one area that us three had talked about pretty much. We were like, "Oh, we're good everywhere else." I mean, we just need to worry about linebacker. And in all actuality, it's probably one of the more secure things that we've got, especially when we have the like of Jalen Carter and these guys going down with the injury bug, which is another thing that I think is really kind of plaguing this team at the moment. It sounds like, we ended up losing Nakobe Dean again. And then Dallas Goedert is out with a fractured forearm, which is a huge impact to this team. looking at the statistics and based off of when it was he ended up going out in this game, he was potentially going to have more receiving yards than AJ Brown by the end of the day with how he was able to get that separation from all of his defenders and he had 50 yards of receiving on 3 targets and ended up being he would have been more impactful had that freak accident of a play because that's ultimately what it was. It didn't seem like it was anything too serious, but it was just the way he rolled up onto his arm in that
Yeah,
case.
it's
So
definitely, I think, just the way he ended up landing on his forearm there. And no, you're right. I mean, once Goddard went out, that kind of it shrinks the field for Dallas. The middle of the football field kind of shrinks for them. They're not worried about Calcaterra or anybody else, blowing anybody away, or even Albert O right now or anything. So it's like that whole part of that game you're not even paying attention to at this point. They're
right.
they're no longer putting, somebody important. It's not a position of importance right now. So him going out is huge. I have them, probably fixing it. Might dig up Tony Gonzalez or something. Who knows how his freaking play.
I mean, I'm a big Jack Stoll fan for what he
Yeah.
provides to this team role wise, but the statistics don't lie to you. In a separator, he is not. So he is a really good blocker. He makes pretty much the least amount of money you can make as a football player, and goes in and just pancakes people and does a great job knowing his role. And Alberto, I liked him when we traded for him. His size, his dimensions. He has very similar athletic measurables to Travis Kelce, ironically. And obviously, he's not a human Hall of Fame highlight machine, but he, had a really intriguing tape, and they got him at a pretty much low cost. But even Calcaterra has struggled to stay healthy more than anybody else. I mean, even Nakobe Dean is healthier than Calcaterra. And so we're really working with 2 tight ends, and having Albert O be your second tight end up is not ideal in an offense that likes to utilize 11, 12, and 13 personnel. And we had Driscoll out there at tight end.
Yeah, and I think I heard it during Nick Sirianni's press conference yesterday. Somebody actually asked him, like Driscoll actually looked to seem to be effective in filling in that role, and he was asked if that was something that was going to be in the cards going forward. My hope is obviously not. I think we're kind of we're on a short stick right now when it comes to the offensive line as it is, and you don't want to potentially throw another guy out there that we're going to need eventually down the line. So yeah, I hope that's definitely not the case.
I actually liked the idea of I haven't seen it floated out there yet, but let us be the first of having Steen out there as a jumbo package tight end. And I know that goes against just what you said, but if you remember, we had Cam Jurgens out there in jumbo packages last year. It's a good way to get him experience and confidence built up going against linebackers and safeties and corners, as opposed to having to block full-fledged DNs and deal with that strength. The assignments are mostly double team oriented, and it kind of takes a lot out of the mental space.
Yeah, well, I mean, Trey Burton's available. I'm just saying.
Another name I was just thinking about that we had in the last couple of years. I think he's on the Giants practice squad now. Is Tyree Jackson. I know he's just a familiar. He can come in and he's your athletic guy. That's athletic like Goddard. Not comparing him, so nobody freak out. Me comparing Tyree Jackson to Goddard, but measurable wise, like the guy's a freak athlete. So if he can provide one good game, you know what I mean? I'm talking 40 yards receiving. It'd be a win for the weekend, and the bye week this week can't come at a better time. It can't come at a better time.
It's ideal. Yeah, it's ideal.
Yeah.
Well, before we get into the first segment, I want to touch on one more thing. It kind of broke right before we were getting ready to come on the show today. Carson Wentz signs with the Rams.
It has come full circle for the NFL.
This one, it shocked me a little bit, but at the same time, with the number of quarterbacks that are going down with Achilles tears and everything else, I mean, he was bound to go somewhere. I think it was a matter of time. another couple injuries on some other teams, you know, you might see the emergence of Colin Kaepernick this season sooner than you guys think. So it's, yeah, I mean, does this shock you guys at all? Do you think that he's going to fit in down over there in McVay's system?
I don't think
I mean,
Wentz fits in anywhere,
yeah.
mentality wise.
Yeah, I mean, when he was here with the Eagles, all you heard was, you know, from internal and people in the know is that he was the world's greatest teammate for the longest time, right? The world's greatest teammate, no drama, no problems. Then I'm a little bit weary of when somebody leaves, then you start talking shit about him. Like, ideally, you want to keep stuff in house, but don't sell us a bag of goods that this guy is, you know, the second coming of, you know, the best teammate in history. And then all of a sudden he leaves and everyone hated him. For me, the guy's a weirdo at one level or another, and that's just a fact, and he's done that to himself.
Right.
On another level, he's had countless opportunities, and it's not like he was awful last year. He was just serviceable or above serviceable, and I think this probably, it shocks me more that probably he lowered his demands of what he wanted to get paid, and is now willing to just settle to be a journeyman or at least give it a shot. So that part of it shocked me. I thought he was too arrogant to let down on any of his demands.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I just think it's funny that, you know, you got Goff drafted by the Rams first overall, and Wentz goes second to the Eagles, and then Goff gets shipped to Detroit for Stafford. Stafford goes to LA, then, you know, Wentz is cut here, and now Wentz is backing up Stafford in LA. So it's like it's come full circle for everything for the in the NFL. You know, I think he had all the talent in the world in 16, 17, and even 18. Injuries bugged him, but then I just think he was a super jealous player, and he was super jealous of the attention that Nick Foles got in this town, and he got it deservingly so. I mean, even though it was, you know, 4 starts that he had, it was two of the greatest starts that anybody's ever had in playoff history against the Vikings and in the Super Bowl. But, you know, he could not put that shadow behind him of being able just to look forward. So, and then he had to, you know, walk past, you know, 17-foot bronze statue every single day of Nick Foles. So I'm sure that helped either. But
yeah, I mean, it definitely can't help.
You have a thick skin to be a professional player, and if you can't get over that, then I don't know what to tell you. So, you know, maybe 3,800 miles away on the West Coast, it might help.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to be a change of system for him. So, you know, it's let's just put it this way: he is not Matthew Stafford. He's very fragile. He's not going to put his ass on the line or go out there and play hurt. So I think they are two complete different ends of the spectrum. So, you know, I don't want to wish evil on the guy, but at the same time, it's kind of like, okay, you know,
whatever happens, happens.
Yep, whatever happens, happens. Exactly. All right, well, let's go ahead and roll into cover 2 and pick out who our MVPs of the game were. Okay, so cover 2 is brought to you by Fanatics. Be sure to use that link below and pick up all of your Eagles memorabilia, jerseys, shirts, anything you need to be suited up for the season. So before we jump into who we have for our game MVP, I got a question on YouTube from Nikki Cusick. How do we feel about our rookies at this point in the season? Carrington, since this is one of your bundles of joy, let's go ahead and let you take the first stab at this one.
I feel good about our rookies. I mean, I had semi-high expectations for Tyler Steen, and I thought he was not very good. People are singing his praises, and I get it. He had a tough matchup, but like you said, it's tough being a professional athlete. But when it's your time to get called or your number, you got to go in there and show them what you got, or you may not get another crack. Just like Jack Driscoll is now no longer the guard, and Suo Opita gets bumped out basically. So I had high expectations for him, but overall, I think everybody's doing great. I mean, I think Morrow hasn't had a chance to contribute yet. Really, Jalen Carter, I think, is the defensive rookie of the year. So I think anytime you have one or two of those guys, you're locked in.
Yeah, I mean, you could definitely make the argument for Carter. I mean, there's obviously some other guys out there in the league that are playing somewhat similar to that same level. I'll tell you who really impressed me first time out the gate is Steen. The other day, he seemed to be. He held his own. I mean, and he made an impact. Obviously, with recovering that fumble. That it, at this point, I'll take that one because that changes the outcome of the game if that goes the other way. So, we've been asking for this kid for a while. This wasn't a new thing that had arisen. We were asking for it after preseason. He seemed to be impressive in preseason, and then obviously the immediate impact that a lot of these guys on defense made. That speaks high praise for them, and I'm feeling really great about our rookies. It almost kind of looks like Howie actually knows what the fuck he's doing when it comes to drafting people now. In a nutshell. So,
yeah,
I mean,
I feel like, I mean, I obviously have no idea about every other person that's been drafted by every other team in last year's draft, but we've gotten significant productivity from a lot of our rookies that were drafted this year. Eli Rick's been playing in a lot of games here lately, had really good coverage. Looks like a rookie sometimes, but nothing to be expected. Same thing with Sidney Brown, flying all over the place, making plays, hustling 110% of the time. Jalen Carter, like you said, he's the highest graded rookie at any position for this season so far. You have all these guys coming in, and Tyler Steen as well now, getting a start at right guard and stepping in last week versus the Commanders. It was nice to see these guys being able to step up and just, plug and play almost. And they were drafted, 8 months ago.
Right.
So it's very nice to see, because normally it was like, if we hit one, we were lucky for a couple years. So it's nice to see, multiple hit.
Yeah, I mean, hit rate is one of the most important things. I mean, even the New Orleans Saints with that great 2017 class, and with Ramczyk and Lattimore and Kamara in the third, and they had a really great class, and that really propelled them to competitiveness. Even now, they're just finally realizing the catastrophic salary decisions that they made. But even with all the bad contract decisions, free agent decisions, and overstocking, because they drafted well, they were able to remain competitive and at least a viable franchise. And that's easier said than done. I mean, I really thought they were going to bomb this year, like absolutely bomb, even with Carr. And then he gets injured and they're still able to hold it together. But, Steen did okay. I think he's a really good run blocker. I really do. I think it's pass blocking. He struggled, man. I mean, he had like a 12 rating as a pass blocker. He had penalties as well, some formation, some footing issues. But, you're also going against Micah Parsons and a really, really, really good defensive line.
Yeah, they were definitely exploiting that position with bringing a lot more blitzes through his gap turn around. They were not taking, Mailata and Johnson out of it. And that's just smart football. I'm going to attack the newest guy that's on there 100% of the time.
Yep. Probably secured Cam Jurgens' spot a little bit more. I think I think maybe I took it for granted when I saw Steen come in and really knock some people off their shoes in that Commanders game. I thought, okay, maybe, he can give him a run for his money. I even saw Eagles fans like, put Jurgens back at center so he can start learning and the year be damned. But, he's obviously a road grader, and our run game has suffered without Cam Jurgens in there. And we need him bad. And, that's why I could see him drafting another offensive lineman, like a guard prospect in the first or second round again, just based off of the impact. But Also, I'd like to see Nolan Smith get more time, but for the time he's had, he's been very good on special teams and defense.
Agreed. So Imoni Bentley checks in, says go Birds. Go
Go
Birds.
Birds.
All right. Game MVP, guys. Who we got? Because there's probably a lot to choose from with this one. So I think, who did we have go first last time? I can't even remember.
I don't even remember
You know,
either.
I'll go first this time. I'm gonna say Brandon Graham. I think had he not stepped up, and he's obviously become a late game addition to the defense. He is not out there as frequently as he has been in the past. However, man is a freak of nature, and he gets to the quarterback. He gets home more often than not, and he came up with 2 huge sacks that drove the Cowboys back far enough that that final pass was not even close to making it to the end zone. I don't know if that was designed that way, if they were expecting the Eagles defense to be playing a whole hell of a lot deeper into the end zone, but you know, at the same time, the pressure that he was applying, I think it's Brandon Graham for me. So,
Yeah,
Matt,
his chasing down of Dak Prescott for that 2-point conversion obviously changes that game immensely. It's not even close because they're not kicking a field goal to tie the game at the end of the game instead of needing a field, needing a touchdown to win. I mean, the easy one would be Jalen on how cold that he played and just keeps going. But I'm gonna go with Cunningham. He was all over the fucking football field. He played well in coverage. He played well against the run. He was chasing guys down. He, spiked, Dak Prescott on top of his noggin. So it was great to have him in. He has been, because our knock on him has been he's been terrible in pass coverage for the most part for this year. But I thought he played pretty well and probably had his best game of this entire season. I think he finished with 12 tackles yesterday, which may not be his most that he's had, but just being all over the football field yesterday with the guys going in and out is definitely my MVP for the game.
Carrington, who you got, bud?
I think Brandon Graham's a great choice. Obviously, I think Jalen Hurts. Coming back when that injury happened, the first thing I immediately tweeted out was I was like, oh, like, might as well, I don't care about the final score of the game. I'm like, let's just get out, of this game. Let's just get out, because that when he's getting out of it, that was so OP. Like him just standing there, and I thought, oh God, just get up and walk. I don't care about the game. I don't care about the rivalry. But Blankenship would also, I think, be a really good choice. He had the 5th or 6th highest graded defender in the NFL, and he had an absolutely atrocious game against the Commanders coming back from injury. I think this, secondary is really going to start vibing. But my MVP is actually Brian Johnson.
Huh?
I know. But here's the thing. So you have unconventional, but you have the unconventional call, and I was just as pissed as anybody, believe me. When they ran that play, you all know what I'm talking about, and I don't even have to describe it. Okay, so but he, it seems bad, whatever. But what have we been harping on? This offense has actually been better in many ways than last year. They're actually starting to exceed those goals. They're doing so great, except for turnovers, in which we certainly had the opportunity to have a few, but we recovered the fumbles. And the other thing was red zone offense, right? We've been hitting on that red zone offense. And what did we do? We knocked it out of the park. We said the only thing that's separating us from the elite and from really pulling away from people is said you got to turn those red zone opportunities into touchdowns. And I'll be damned if they did not go 100%. And did we need every single frickin' point? We sure did. And so for me, Brian Johnson realizing, hey, I need to start mixing it up and be a little less myopic about the way I'm, viewing these things. and way less out of pocket than trying to get somebody just kind of cram a square peg in a round hole. So for me, Brian Johnson is for what it represents for our season going forward.
Yeah, it's another good one.
Yeah, it is definitely something that we've been hypercritical on with these guys in regards to this offense, and the fact that we are not capitalizing on these opportunities, especially when our defense comes up big and the offense just can't seem to get even into the red zone, let alone punch it in to the end zone. So yeah, they definitely have improved. However, there were varying instances in this game that really had me scratching my head in regards to some of the coaching decisions. So at the end of that first half, I didn't quite understand going into the locker room with, I think we ended up going in there with 2 timeouts, but we had the ball for the last drive, and Nick Sirianni refused to call a timeout at any point in time in that drive, which really didn't make sense to me. I wasn't really sure what the thought process was there. And then he goes and he flips the script on me completely in the second half and decides to challenge a play where we received a flag for, I think it might have been unnecessary roughness or something along those lines.
Yeah.
And he challenged the spot of the ball. Now that's all well and good, but that's not going to negate the penalty. So what the fuck were you thinking in regards to challenging it and giving up a timeout if the field position wasn't going to be affected because they were going to get the first down anyway?
Yeah.
So some of the thought process with this, it was really kind of, I was like, what the fuck? What are we thinking here? Because it's not going to negate the penalty. All it negates is the yardage, but that doesn't change anything. It wasn't going to change the outcome of the play.
Nope. Like I said, they could have moved that ball 35 yards backwards. It still would have been a first down. It
Right.
didn't matter what it was. Yeah, that because besides him talking about being pretty little flowers and everything, there's not much that Nick Sirianni's done that's really made me kind of question like where his head's at for the most part and kind of see where he's coming from a lot. That
Right.
one I was like, I don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
Like,
So
what
wasn't that on fourth down, guys?
It was, but that's just
So-
what I'm getting at.
So what it was is if we stopped him on fourth down, he challenged the spot of the ball because it was a dead ball after the play. So if we would have stopped him and they said, yes, he didn't make the line to gain for first down, they don't automatically get that with the personal foul because it's a dead ball after the play. We would retain possession, but it would bump us back 15 yards. So we would have had that penalty, but it would have bumped us back 15 yards because it was after the play.
I don't know because it happened during the play. So it wasn't a dead ball foul. This was going to be a penalty that they were going to get the first down regardless. It didn't matter.
Yeah, they did a poor job of clarifying during the broadcast.
Right.
No,
they really did. Greg Olson just he had no clue, and it. Yeah, that part really had me scratching my head because, to be honest, I mean that timeout probably would have come in very good handy towards the end of that game because we were scrambling to try and put defensive backs onto the fucking field. Like we did not have the package in there designed to be able to protect against I mean, we saw what Dallas was able to do at the end of that game where they were able to get downfield relatively quickly because we had guys dropping like flies. Like guys were literally crawling off of the field because
I mean, for 5 plays, we had Slay and Bradbury out. So
right.
I was like, we're gonna go through this entire game and play kind of sloppy, but play well. You know what I mean, against a very good team, and we're gonna lose it on a pass interference, a roughing the passer, and 2 injuries.
Yeah, right.
I'm gonna lose my mind. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and I think that's ultimately where all of our blood pressures kind of shot through the roof in that last 2, 3,
then I'm like,
4
all right,
minutes.
they're at the 11, and then it's offside,
Right.
and I'm like, all right, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah,
Then they're at the
then
6, and then Dallas did what Dallas does, and
Yep.
delay a game, false start, sack. It's just like, all right, thanks.
he got lucky on that one. Yeah, it was just there were some questionable decisions made in regards to not using timeouts. You can't take them home with you. Um, you're not going to be able to use 5 timeouts in the second half because you didn't use the other 3 in the first. I mean, it's just like if you got it and we had it didn't seem like we were having a very hard time of moving the ball against this defense. We actually were fairly effective for the most part. So the fact that we didn't use that timeout and capitalize on this to at least get us into field goal range to um, end out that half, it that was the part that I'm like, I really don't understand what your guys' thought process is. And then we ended up punting the ball away, and all Dallas had to do was take that one play, and that was it. They took the knee and went into the half, but that's the difference between us going into the half at 20-14 as opposed to 17-14. And and we were coming out with the ball in that second half. So it was just some of the things. It was just like, okay, I really don't understand what you were thinking, but
Yeah, sitting there talking about head scratchers. I think it was our final drive. We had 3rd and 3, and Jalen Hurts elected for a 30-yard pass to AJ Brown down the sideline. That was not even close. And if you want to hit your guy, for this potential first down, because that's your best connection that you have, I'm totally okay with it. But let's rein it in a little bit. You know what I mean? Because I'm totally okay with you running the football then, because if you get it within 1.5 yards, we know what's going to happen. So you essentially have two plays to pick up a first down and end this football game and just be done with it. And then they tried to get fancy, and they tried pulling AJ Brown across from again later in the game. It's just like he runs into Swift, and it was like whatever could happen did happen.
Yep, exactly.
So I hope it's one big giant learning opportunity. But like Harrington said, I think Brian Johnson called an excellent game for the most part. Especially red zone has been 10 times better. It's no longer bubble screen, quarterback run. That
Right.
So it's like, he's spreading his guys out. He's getting the ball. Kenny Gainwell had a good run for a touchdown. He had good vision, broke a tackle, and was able to get in. So it's nice to see these guys come in and be able to make plays. They're bringing everything off. And then I was listening to a Dallas radio host during the game, and they went up for the brotherly shove, and they're like, you have to watch out for so many other alternates of what they're going to do now. Like, are they going to toss it? Are they going to
right?
And then we saw yesterday, we're going to stand here for 25 seconds and let the clock run down, try to draw you offsides, and then we're going to snap it with a second left when your guard is pretty much down for the most part, because you're just assuming that they're just going to. It's the first quarter. They're not going to go for it on their own 33-yard line to start this game off. And they let the play clock wind all the way down to 1 second. Then they snap it and gain 2 yards. It's like, well,
yeah.
Now we got to watch for that now. So it's like there's so many variances that they can do. It's gives teams something to think about all the time.
Yeah. All right. Well, since we're already kind of touched on the offense, we might as well just roll into 4th and season and break this down a little bit more.
Trying to stop a 4th and 26 and in essence take over. Plenty of time. Down the middle, it's Mitchell. Where will they spot him? They're going to get forward progress and a first down.
Do it, Carrington. There it is.
There we are. the old people's champ.
Yeah.
Pretty Mitch.
Absolutely. Yep. Best thing ever. All right, 4th and season is brought to you by Righteous Felon. Go to www.righteousfelon.com and use the promo code OCSN for 15% off of beef jerky around. It is super, super good. And you also get free shipping of anything over $50, so makes it even easier.
Yep, absolutely. All right, so we're already kind of touching on Brian Johnson and the fact that he had a very well called game. So just to break down the statistics here a little bit, Jalen Hurts went 17 for 23, 207 yards, 2 touchdown passes, was sacked 3 times for a total loss of 24 yards. And then we obviously, he he had another fantastic game. And we've already kind of touched on the fact that our blood holes kind of puckered a little bit when he took that shot to the knee. Because I think everybody saw our season going up in flames at that point. But and if this dude is not the most resilient damn player in the NFL, I don't know who is,
He's
because
one of the toughest. I'll tell you that.
he has got he's it's just unbelievable. Could not believe that he actually came back out, and he came out right away. It wasn't like he took a play off. This was literally he walked off, they took a break, and he came back out and continued to play. And it shocked the shit out of me. I was stomping around the house. I threw my hat up in the air. I was like, it's fucking over. I'm done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was my other thing. Like, thank God they play on grass and not turf, because if they're playing on turf, his foot isn't moving.
Yeah.
It's not moving backwards, and he was pivoting at that time. So, I mean, obviously he didn't see the hit coming with, somebody being down around his knees falling, but
Right.
All that stuff played into I'm sure it definitely didn't feel good, obviously, as we saw.
No.
But, I think it was just one of those just bone to bone type hits, and little break, come back out. But like you said, he'll do anything for this team in this city, and that guy will need to be carried out on his shield to be carried off a field. So
Yeah.
and it
Yep.
resonates with people. It's hard not to.
Yeah. He resonates with the fans a lot, and this dude that's all this city ever really asks for is for you to be tough as nails and to play with a chip on your shoulder and come out there and show that you want to be here, and he does it. Yep. And then obviously beat the Cowboys. That's really kind of the only rule. And he crushed it. He did fantastic in this game. So it was a big one. Nikki Cusick checks in. So from Quincy Carrington, Daddy, what are we gonna do on Sunday with all of our free time?
Oh, come on, man. It's our favorite thing. We're gonna go over play review. We're gonna go over the all 22. Probably
There
scout
it
the
is.
cow. I'm just kidding about your involvement in that activity, but we'll probably play some Madden or something.
There we go.
There you go. Yeah,
Eagles versus
I'm not
the
gonna
Eagles.
do this either. I'll probably just watch football anyway. So not much is gonna change. It's just who I'm watching and whether or not and how much devotion I'm going to put towards it. That's ultimately the
Yeah,
variation.
it's a crap slate of games this weekend. I mean, it is awful.
It's not great.
It's not great.
You go from one to the other of having a great day on Sunday of football from 9 a.m. All the way through Sunday night, and then this weekend it's like, okay, cool. I get to watch the Bears and Raiders play Thursday. Thanks.
Brutal.
Yeah.
Or whoever
Yeah.
the Bears are playing, but the Bears are playing. Nobody wants to watch.
Yeah, well, that's a dumpster fire if there ever was one.
You mean with MVP candidate Justin Fields?
Yeah. No, I'm talking about MVP candidate Tyson Badger.
Yeah, there it
That's
is.
right.
All right, so running backs. We got to see Rashad Penny for the first time since week 1. I think it was the first time we actually got to see him play. So there's been some time. He ended up having 2 carries for 8 yards. No real impact in regards to his offensive production. Kenny Gainwell came out, had 3 carries for 22 yards, had that 1 touchdown. That was his first one of the year, wasn't it, or his second? He ain't got that. Yeah. Jalen had another big. Yeah, Jalen had another big run game. 10 carries, 36 yards for 1 touchdown, which obviously was the old push.
Mm-hmm.
And then DeAndre Swift ended up finally being the guy that took a majority of the carries on the day for the first time. Carried it for 18. Had 18 carries for 43 yards, and he just hard-nosed running again. I think there was a couple of times in there where I saw him just put his head down and really kind of drive through guys. the same exact thing that he got
again.
Yeah, I'm waiting for it. I'm waiting for them to roll that bullshit out again. Because that was a little ridiculous.
We're gonna fine you for
yeah.
doing your job.
You know, we talk about like Jalen Hurts, the runner, you know, and it's obviously just been played out to death. People calling him running back and all this stuff. And, you know, there's a hint of, let's say, racial skepticism there, maybe, with people, you know, taking quarterback seriously. And, but here's the true drop back pocket passer stats for the first 9 weeks of football. Jalen Hurts ranks first in quarterback rating, first in completion percentage, second in touchdown percentage, third in EPA per play, third in success rate, first in boom rate, and first in bust rate. No other quarterback ranks top 10 in either of those categories. And if you keep looking, no other quarterback has even as many as 8 of those categories. So he is playing with an MVP caliber chip on his shoulder. And these stats have quietly compiled. They haven't been the flashiest, but my good buddy Kyle Brandt from Good Morning Football, I love him, said the Dallas Cowboys are, you know, they're empty calories, right? And he has a best analogy. He goes, you know, they're salty, you have sweet. He goes, but it doesn't fill you up and it's bad for you. He goes, CeeDee Lamb had one of the better receiving days of the season. He goes, Dak Prescott balled out of his mind. The Cowboys defense got pressure, uncharacteristic pressure. You know, on the line. Hurts went down with the knee injury. All these things happen with the Eagles. Are dropping left and right. Yet the meat and potatoes, the actual way to win, the formula, that is what has paid off. It's Hurts being able to adjust to anything, and the Cowboys can talk about all these great things about how they could have won the game, but in reality, everything went wrong for us, really, and mostly everything went right for them outside of penalties, which we were equal on and actually had more penalty yards than they did. And ultimately, we come out with the victory anyway.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And, you know, I was having arguments with Cowboys fans in my Twitter inbox, like, you know, Dak Prescott outplayed Jalen Hurts. He threw for, you know, 300 and some odd. I was like, he also threw the ball 23 more times. So, you know, if we want to double up, if we want to give Jalen Hurts the same amount of throws that Dak Prescott had, then Jalen Hurts ends up with 406 yards passing and 4 touchdowns. So it's like, you know, what's going on the same way. It's like it's still, you're comparing apples to oranges here, but like, congratulations at almost beating us. Go hang your hat on that.
You want to talk about moral victories, and we kind of touched on this with the show, getting hate mail and stuff. To the Cowboys fan that like told me to blow my brains out, I want you to know that during that fourth quarter, I did consider it, but ultimately I decided against it. So, you know, we did get your comment. I just want you to know, like, we do value your opinion here. You know, your sweet and salty tears. Ultimately, I decided against blowing my brains out, but I did feel like it during the game.
No, not really. I mean, we really don't value it. To be honest. But, I mean, okay, we'll go with it. And then yeah. So on the receiving end, AJ Brown. Unfortunately, the streak did not continue, boys. But I'm okay with it. Yeah. I think that he spread the ball pretty well between him and Devontae. And, you know, considering that we had 30 minutes and 18 seconds of time of possession, and we ended up coming out of this, you know, with 28 points is, you know, kind of a big testament to Brian Johnson and the game plan that he constructed. He knew that he wanted to keep the Dallas defense on the field because he knew that he would eventually be able to pick them apart. I don't want to say that they made Micah Parsons a non-factor, but he was almost kind of a non-factor. He didn't seem like he was the one that was going to cause a problem for our offense. We had no problem running the ball against them. So it was one of them things that the game plan took into account, I think, a lot of what some of these other teams have done to beat Dallas, and they did it fairly well. The biggest difference is that Jalen Hurts is a better quarterback than the other guys that have beat him up until this point. So he was able to pick them apart offensively with both his passing game and then his running game as well. He was running fairly well, and he wasn't running out of bounds at the 1 yard line, preventing his team from getting that extra points like Dak Prescott was. So, it's the little things. It's the smart things that Jalen Hurts does that sets him apart from Dak Prescott. And you see all the comments out there. Everybody's like, oh, Dak Prescott is a better quarterback than Jalen Hurts right now because of this, that, and the other thing. And I think that cannot be further from the truth. It's the one thing that Jalen has always going for him is the fact that he recognizes his mistakes and owns them, and then he capitalizes off of those mistakes the next go around, whether that be the next drive or it's the next game. He is constantly working. So the dude's work ethic is unmatched, and I cannot speak more highly of this guy at this point. And I was never sold on Jalen Hurts prior to him coming here. I was a Carson Wentz fan, but Jalen Hurts has got me. I mean, I'm all in now. It's not even a question anymore. This is the guy.
Yeah, with watching him at the end of last year and the heart that he played with everything and how he played in the Super Bowl, everybody blamed Hurts for the loss. I was not one of those people. I think he was one of the reasons why we were actually in that football game. Then coming into this year, you look at the numbers, it's like, all right, yeah, he's definitely regressed this year, do all this, but it's like, wait, he's 4th in the league in passing. Passing yards, doing all this because everybody's all up on Tua about having all these passing yards and doing all this stuff. It's like, all right, well, my man, Jalen Hurts is not far behind, along with they just absolutely demolished the Dolphins last week.
Yeah.
They're coming in of, oh, you guys with this stretch you're coming in, you're not beating the Dolphins or the Cowboys doing all that. It's like, all right, check on that one. Thank you. Then we go, coming into a bye week, we have Kansas City. But I don't think there's a better deep thrower in the NFL either than Jalen Hurts. It seems like he gives his guys a shot on 90% of the balls that he gets up there, unless he sees a safety coming over and then he just puts it towards the sideline more, where it's either his guy or nobody. And, you can't ask for more than that because he just dropped an absolute dime to Devontae Smith in the end zone yesterday. Like, the ball couldn't have been thrown any better.
I mean, I don't know that I've seen him make a throw that was as complete and perfect as that throw since he's made some good ones, but staying in the pocket and doing the things that Matt, I mean, you talked about that way earlier, talked about how he's rolling out too much too. And his pocket presence has been outstanding. There's, I contend that still with some of those turnover worthy plays that, you have tips and drops by receivers and stuff. That stuff isn't going to last, not with the skill position people we have. And, Dak Prescott, credit where it isn't due. He played an absolutely outstanding game yesterday, and I was blown away by some of the reads and his escapability. But ultimately, you blew it, man. Get over it. It was 1st and goal at the 6, and we walked you down there, held your hand, and Bradbury did everything he could to ensure that you had your best crack at it. And you couldn't punch it in, man. Nobody takes a sack in that situation. Not even Wentz would take. Well, maybe Wentz, but every quarterback knows you got to get rid of that ball and make it a playable situation, and they didn't. I mean, the better quarterback won. Our goals are surpassed this Cowboys rivalry, and now that we've taken the first game from them, it's taken all the pressure off them, and all the pressure's on the Cowboys. They could beat us, ideally not, but they could beat us 100-0, and it wouldn't fucking matter because we're going to get one of these games against the Chiefs and the Bills. We're going to get one of them.
I think we get the Bills. I don't see how we don't. The Bills are not impressive to me anymore.
The Bills are on a struggle bus right now. Like, they are headed towards, like, we need to ship out some major pieces coming in soon because it is a cluster.
Well, when they get it together, they being the Eagles secondary, and hopefully by the Bills game, we're at least starting the same secondary twice in a row, as opposed to our 9th different combo or 10th different combo, then I will take it, but I think we take one out of the next 3 games, and the Cowboys go 3-0, and we lose to them 100-0, and we're still up on them. And we have the Giants twice to play, which are listless and terrible, and we have the Arizona Cardinals and whatever's left of Kyler Murray's knees.
We have Seattle in there. I mean, we are in a fantastic spot, sitting at 8-1, rolling into a bye week, and we've identified that this is probably our toughest stretch of the schedule coming into it. But I don't know that it's actually is as tough as it's been advertised, as we were obviously anticipating. Brock Purdy's kind of fallen from grace, if you will. Kansas City has the ability to be beat against by really good football teams, as evidenced throughout this season so far. And I think we have a very good chance of putting up a really solid game against Kansas City, and I think that we beat Buffalo. San Francisco is, I think, our toughest test coming forward. I don't think that we have another real tough one as far as the defensive and offensive matchup that we could be experiencing. I think that that's probably going to be the toughest one for the rest of the season. The Dallas game, I think is that the week after San Francisco, correct? And then it's Seattle.
Yep.
Right. We're going to see Dallas again at their best. But to your point, Carrington, at that point, I don't know that it matters. We're going to think. I think we lock up a playoff position with a loss this week from somebody. I think we end up locking a playoff position up.
Yep.
So it's not even going to fucking matter. So it's right now we're competing for home field advantage. The playoffs are a lock. I don't think that's not even an issue. It's the competing for the home field advantage now, which is what this team needs. And Jalen Hurts, you don't lose at home.
And he doesn't lose at home. He barely loses at all in general, right? Like 24-2 or something, just stupid.
25-2 in his last 27.
25-2 for God's sakes.
4 quarterbacks have done it. That's it.
Yeah, what is it, like Montana, Jim McMahon, and Brady?
Brady and Jalen Hurts.
I mean, those are decent.
And Peyton.
Yeah. I mean, one of those guys made a cornball music video, and he's still amazing. So, Jim McMahon, right? That was a shuffle. But for me, just looking at a Super Bowl shuffle, I think it was what it was, right? It was very, very bad and so good too. It does not hold up, but look,
it will always hold up.
Yeah, looking at like the schedule and stuff, we're also not talking about the fact that the Cowboys have to also win the majority of their games. I mean, I think they can afford statistically 2 losses only, and then the Eagles also have to drop a good chunk of their games. Like, we have to win 2, and they can only lose 2 for them to really have a chance to push us for the division. And bumping them down to a wild card is going to be important too.
Yep, and they have Buffalo and Miami late in the season, and they got a very good Detroit team at the end, which is that Detroit they're gunning. They're gunning.
I don't care what it is. Washington plays their division opponents tough, and they play them, week 18 now, and that's what I was just looking at here. They have the Giants and Panthers coming up, but they got the Commanders, Seattle, the Birds, then at Buffalo, at Miami, and then Detroit coming back home with them. So I mean, they have just as tough a schedule coming up as we do, and like Tom was saying, I think not being a homer, being a realistic guy, and how this team just finds ways to win and how we can win in so many different ways. I think in a very, very close game, we beat Kansas City. I think Jalen Hurts finally gets the ball with 2 minutes left and down by 4 in Arrowhead. And it's his time. And it is fucking payback time, for last year. And and with just coming in and then riding high with all those guys coming in, and Buffalo's not scaring anybody right now. They're a mess. I think Stephon Diggs can't wait to leave Buffalo. It's just.
Have you ever been to Buffalo proper? Everybody wants to fucking leave Buffalo, man. Nobody's there by choice. Christ's sake, Orchard Park, like that's a hard pass for me. Hard pass. A Josh Allen hard pass.
Yeah, so it's I think they win those 2 games. And with Dallas, I always say at the beginning of the season we split with Dallas. I always say it, but I'll say that they're going to win in Dallas. I'll take. I'm not going
See, I
to say.
I have them always splitting against the Commanders too, Matt. So that the fact that we came out of this the fact that we came out of that one unscathed, it shocked the shit out of me. So
Yep.
Yeah, I'm with you.
There's always one.
Yeah. It'll end up being the fucking Giants or something to like some third string quarterback.
Yeah, it probably will actually, man. You're right, man. Because
hopefully
Danny DeVito or whatever's their quarterback. Danny DeVito and Rhea Perlman's their offensive coordinator or something. Woody Harrelson's involved. It's an exciting project there in New Jersey.
Because I was saying, we got 2 Utes coming out of the courthouse and we'll be all right.
The worst Cheers reunion ever. No way Marissa Tomei is going to be near that bullshit. But I'm going to tell you right now that we probably will lose to the Giants. And I actually think there's a possibility we lose to the Cardinals, believe it or not, because I don't think by that point in time, Detroit has a fairly, they have a very laid back schedule. Let's say Detroit, other than that Cowboys game. And I think it's possible that the Eagles have a chance to lock up that 1 seed. The 49ers haven't proven they're back yet. They had a bye week, and Trent Williams is still out. Deebo Samuel likely to play, but you have a lot of stuff with seeding that is going to shake out in the next couple weeks. Pretty much without.
Well,
but we win the next 2 games. Forget about it.
Yeah. No, I mean,
and that's why that's why this game was so huge to win. Like it was huge because that puts you 2.5 up instead of being 1.5 up now. Coming into a bye week where potentially, the Cowboys are probably going to smoke the Giants, and then you come in, it's like now we're win for win coming in, and starts getting a whole lot tighter coming in with what's happening. So
poor Saquon, man.
That guy can't catch a break.
I feel bad for him. And he's a Giants running back. That's not how it's supposed to be.
I know. He's just such a nice guy.
Supposed to hate his guts, man.
All right. Well, I think we've delved into the offense pretty well on this point. So let's go ahead and get into this defense. All right, Nickels and Dimes is brought to you by Warlord Men's Grooming Essentials. Visit warlordbeardoil.com. Use promo code OCSM15 for 15% off your beard products. The only one that knows about this stuff is Carrington because me and Matt are not allowed to have beards. So good times.
Yeah, feeling extra handsome just at the alt-right here at the moment, and it's all thanks to Warlord beard products and the beer, probably from Outlaw, but.
All right. So, perhaps probably one of the best pictures to come out of this wonderful season that we've had so far is this beaut of a fucking hit that we were able to experience on Sunday. Dak Prescott being upended and falling short, I think, is probably the best part about it. Yeah. The fact that he was not able to make it into the end zone. Carrington, you look like you're a fucking kid in a candy shop right now. What's going on?
I mean, you ever see those Sarah McLachlan commercials? I think they're playing like the ASPCA, and there's like a dog behind a cage. Like,
yeah.
Somebody needs to edit this photo or that sequence. I will remember you, and have him like going down in black and white, because I'm glad he's not seriously hurt. I truly am. I hate the Cowboys talk a lot of shit, but I don't want anybody's career or life to be altered. Except Jerry Jones, but except for that asshole.
As long as possible.
Jerry Jones and Daniel Snyder go missing. Nobody's putting up a poster. We're gonna put it that way, but no milk cartons will be affected by that. But when he went down, I was beside myself. I mean, you just look at this picture. My goodness, he's coming straight down. First of all, I thought it was going to be a fumble. Can't believe he held on to it.
Yeah.
Second of all, that was the worst fucking dive attempt. And that play, to me, it was a season changer. I know a lot more things happened after that, but as soon as that happened, I was like, oh, we're in business now. We're playing football. We're in. We're committed. We're not giving up. It'd be very easy to give up on that play, especially being gassed and beat up. When they made that play, I could hear that crunch. Oh, I could hear it from here, man. It still gives me goosebumps right now just thinking about it.
I loved it because as bad as the defense might have looked at time, or as bad as Dak played, or as good as Dak played yesterday or on Sunday, the team did not quit 1 ounce. Like they did not quit whatsoever. Remember on the final drive, there was a pass to CD that went for like 18 yards, and Sidney Brown come flying across the field from like 20 yards and just dove with everything he could to hit Sidney, or hit CD out of bounds. It's just no quit. Brandon Graham chasing him down, towards out of bounds on the 2-point conversion, where I think a lot of defensive ends, you end up jogging over there. He walks in with the football stretched out, and it's a 3-point game coming into this final drive. It turns everything around you, head into overtime with all momentum on Dallas' side. You know what I mean? So who knows how it ends up coming out? And they hit him all day long. They had ended up with 5 sacks on him. Sweat had a great game. Hassan Reddick had a great game. They did not let them run the football at all. All we heard was Tony Pollard was going to be the second coming of Christ, and everything was coming in. And we paid him a bunch of money.
21 carries for 73 yards out of all the running backs that they used. It's not impressive at all. They had 4 guys.
Yeah, and I think a majority of them. I mean, he threw the ball 20 more times than Hurts did, and a majority of that was when they were down by 11 for over a quarter, trying to play catch up coming back. So it's like, I'm fine with that. You can throw for 370 yards every single game. I can really care less, as long as if we come across with the W, I don't care. I don't care.
Right. No, I'm with you. I mean, CD Lamb lit us up like a fucking Christmas tree. Don't get me wrong. At 191 yards, I think is the highest amount of receiving yards that we've had against us as far as the secondary goes this season. And we've shut down some big ones. I mean, we shut down Justin Jefferson. We've shut down Tyreek Hill. I mean, we had some really good ones, but CD Lamb lit us up. However, this defense was able to prevent them from getting into the end zone. The exact same problem that we have as an offense as far as getting into an end zone and really capitalizing off of these red zone opportunities, the Cowboys could not do the exact same thing. Our defense shut them down the second they got beyond the 50. And that was huge. It proved to be a huge factor in this game. And, Lamb, despite 191 yards, didn't have a fucking touchdown. So it's all for naught, in my opinion, when it comes to this particular thing. It's you could put up 200 something fucking yards. If you don't have a touchdown, and you're not the guy that ends up, he makes the catch at the end of that game. He did not get into the end zone, so it didn't matter.
I mean, it's the same thing. We always, we talk about difference between good football teams. Schoonamaker coming in and not running across the goal line before he makes his break coming out. He stops 4 inches short of the goal line. A great tackle by Reed coming out, but it's like those little things obviously come back to bite you in your ass. And it's all I heard Monday morning was, well, if that was a touchdown, they would have won. Well, if my wife had a wheel, she'd be a fucking bike. So it doesn't matter what.
Yeah, man.
So it doesn't matter what we have.
You're right, man. 4 inches makes a difference, or so I've heard. But I'll tell you for an absolute fact, like, people are passing on us 70+% of the times. All right, 70+% of the time, they are absolutely the highest percentage in the NFL now. After this game, we were second highest before, and you're going to have some problems, and people are exploiting the weakness, or they're exploiting the injuries we talked about. The only thing that could defeat us are the injuries, but ultimately, I had Cowboys fan in my mention say, "Oh, AJ Brown, he came up short as the duo of." You know what? I will take you. Hold on to your personal victory of CD Lamb having a great day. Because they're all empty fucking calories. All right. And you guys are starving. All right. They're on that Dallas diet, which is we don't eat, anything from 1996 into now, and we just hope results happen. Right. So they're on that Dallas diet, empty ass calories. They are celebrating these individual accomplishments. Well, meanwhile, I was happy as hell with Goddard's production, up to the injury. I was happy as hell with Gainwell getting out there and getting some. And I'll take a two-headed monster of Devonta and AJ Brown over one guy putting up personal accolades. Who gives a shit? Terrell Owens had an amazing showing in the Super Bowl. What do you think we would rather have? The fucking trophy? Or go, wow, he did a really good job. Good job. Good job, Dallas.
How great he played during the Super Bowl, and he will trade all that to have a trophy in his hand at the end of the game. He does not.
Yeah, you have a fucking silver star on your helmet already, man. But here's your gold star if that's what you fucking need.
Yep. Right. And it's so funny. Like the goalposts just keep being pushed back for what causes like a good team. Like I wake up, Monday morning, take the kid to daycare in the greatest mood ever. Everybody's got their Eagle stuff on at daycare that morning, and come in and turn on TV, and the first headline I see are the 8-1 Eagles actually that good? And I'm like, there is just nothing that could possibly be here. And all I heard was like, the Cowboys are better. The Cowboys are this. It's like, okay, well,
Cowboys are better. They would have won.
Have at it. And that's pretty much what it is. And there was a couple people that I listened to that were on TV talking about it that said that they were Cowboys fans or that the better team did not win or they would have won. Like, that's not how it works. You can say that, they had more passing yards. Who cares?
Right. I mean, look at the records of both teams. Yeah, great. You had more passing yards. Yeah, there was lots of penalties. I can screenshot you a million holding calls on the Cowboys. Just you can send me a million. Of course, I saw some of them where Parsons was getting, held up like he was in a drugstore, man. But I'm telling you, like there was as many on us, for N'Kobe Dean getting held up, people getting twisted down.
I mean, they called a lot, Carrington. They called a lot.
Yeah, and that's 20 penalties.
20 accepted penalties.
Right.
Almost 200 yards.
Yeah.
20 penalties is a lot for a game. And I mean, and a lot of them were them holding calls, and I think there was even a roughing the passer call in there, which was questionable at fucking best.
Like, I mean, it just 2 straps. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah. It's I mean, I get it. There's going to be games like this, but and then I immediately it was within maybe 20 minutes of the game ending, a picture of a referee wearing an Eagles shirt. I'm like, come on, you guys are reaching the exact same amount of penalties. We had more penalties against us, but you're saying that the Eagles had the distinct advantage of having referees on their side. Give me a fucking break. Give me a break.
And that was the main thing. And I was like, I'm not blaming the referees for the pass interference call. It was clearly pass interference.
Sure.
Yeah.
You were put in the position to the 6-yard line.
Bradbury fucked it up. Yeah, Bradbury fucked it up.
Yeah. Roughing the passer call, whether you agree with it or not. It was 15 yards. And then an offside by Jalen Carter. It's like, now you're at the 6-yard line, first down with 35 seconds left.
Right. And then you fucking go delay again.
False start and a sack.
Right. Two sacks at that. 2 sacks back to back.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. If Schoonmaker was reaching as much as some of these fucking Cowboy fans, they would have scored a touchdown. But he didn't. It is a game of inches. Last time I checked, the rules you got Chris Sims out there, a little jersey lover out there saying, "Well, we have to establish some reason. Like, what happens if you blah blah blah?" I'm like, then it's not a catch, man. But at this point in time, this is the fucking rule. They can't change the rule mid-call or whatever. And they're like, well, they hooked him and he this and he that or whatever. Man, you can do it on both sides a million times. We had more penalty yards than Iowa does on a typical college football week for offense, right? Like we're 89 yards or something crazy, almost 200 total. Just blow it out your ass, man. You blew the opportunity. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, it was absolutely wild. But it was funny. The first thing, being able to just seeing is like all the referees is like, oh geez, all right.
Yeah,
So you actually don't have an argument as to why. It's just an all of a sudden a referee moment.
it's a reach. Right. How do we justify making this so that it's not our fucking fault? And that's the part that pisses me off the most. And I actually remained kind of quiet on this one. Like I didn't go on Facebook because typically I'd be like, I'll be like, are y'all still them boys? Like just because I'll troll the shit out of it. I'll play this game all day long. And I kept it quiet because this is, in my opinion, this was honestly probably the best football game so far in the NFL season, hands down. I don't think there's a real question in regards to the distinctness of how this game impacted not only the NFL landscape but definitely the NFC landscape. Because the NFC landscape just got, I think, pretty much well defined at this point. If there was any question as to whether or not the Eagles were the best team in the NFC, I think that it got cemented that day. But then we just rolled into a bye week, sitting 8-1, and the Kansas City Chiefs are, I think, 6-2. So it's a great spot to be in, rolling into a bye week. They're rolling into a bye week, and you're getting ready to come out of that bye week, and you guys are the two best teams sitting at the top of the division are getting ready to play each other. You want to define whether or not the NFL on a Monday night, exactly, on a fucking Monday night.
My brother is a Chiefs fan, a huge Chiefs fan, and he talked to me, and he could have rubbed in the Jets loss or anything else, and I was actually gave me some of the better advice for football. He said, get comfortable in the uncomfortable. Don't be just get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And I looked, and the Eagles are one of the few least penalized teams, and they dealt with a lot of penalties. This time, a lot of miscommunication. Hurts had a throw late in the fourth quarter to Zacchaeus that could have really set us up for a conversion. Instead, we end up punting. And all I kept thinking during that game until the very last, until they had first and goal from the 6, whole time as I thought we're definitely going to win this game. And even at halftime, I had no qualms or concerns or anything like that. Save for Hurts being healthy. And getting comfortable being uncomfortable is some of the better advice I've received because you got to say, hey, if this were last year and we're 8-1, I wonder if we can compare that. But we were 8-1, and you go, okay, are the Eagles for real? Okay, I'm in on that. I'm wondering as a fan, you don't want to get your hopes up, whatever. But this is back-to-back years, man. They're putting winning together. Hurts is a proven winner. Sirianni is a proven winning coach, and they're going to be a force together. As long as they can keep their little mini core, which they're doing a great job of so far, they're going to be a force for many years here. You're talking probably the next 5 to 6 years at least, before you're starting to have any type of question mark. And so are the Eagles for real? Hell yeah, we're for real. Now, we need to get our defensive 3-and-out game right. We're one of the worst in the NFL at getting teams off the field.
It's bad. And I was pleasantly surprised with Kevin Byard. He made a big impact too. He was the second. He led the team into. He was the second leading tackler on the team in this game. I think we made a good move. I'm kind of slightly upset that we did not get another move before the trade deadline. But there's. I think there's a lot to be said that I think it speaks to the fact that they trust these young rookies that they have. They think that they think very highly of Eli Ricks. They think that Sidney Brown is going to be an impactful person in that regard. And it's I don't know if the true test to this defense is going to be in these upcoming weeks, and I'm eager to see whether or not Desai it adjusts and figures out a way to compete against these teams that have the ability to put up significant amount of points, but he seemed to adjust fairly well against the Dallas Cowboys because I think that was kind of the first one. Well, I guess you really shouldn't say the first one because they punched Miami in the fucking mouth. So I mean, it's going to ebb and flow. And I think to your point, Carrington, you brought it up, and we talk about this every week. That secondary package changes from week to week. We have not had the same fucking secondary package starting a game at all. Like it's never the same.
The Cowboys game, the beginning of the Cowboys game was the second time this entire season where you had the 4 same starters, and that was because Kevin Byard got traded 5 minutes before the last game and ended up playing. So we're coming into it this year, next week, and it's like I know Bradbury seems to be all right coming out, but it's like these guys are getting older as well. Slay's getting older, Bradbury's getting older, Byard's getting older. It's getting coming up. So it's glad. I'm happy to see.
By the fucking day, man.
I know. This team makes me age, but it's so nice to see these bounces finally happening the Eagles' way because we're used to it for so long of watching them go the other way, of us losing the close games, of us losing 3 fumbles, of us, doing this. And now it's like, all right, we fumbled 3 times, we got it back. We need to get our heads out of our asses and keep doing something else. We'll do something else next time. We'll change it up a little bit, and whatnot. But it's nice to finally see these close games go our way instead of us losing to the Cowboys by 2 points on a last second, touchdown off of 3 penalties. So it's nice to be on the other side.
Yeah,
we'll take it as long as they ride with it.
No, and that's exactly to our point. I mean, like, and I want to give credit where credit's due. Putting up 406 yards against this fucking defense is not something that another team has been able to do. But I also have to give credit to the Eagles team just in general. These guys find a way to win, and we said this earlier on in the show. They find ways to win. Great teams find a way to win, and they've done it week in and week out. The Jets was a trap game, and that's ultimately what it fucking boiled down to. And, it's a very good possibility that if Aaron Rodgers is there, we'd have lost by probably a whole hell of a lot more. But there's also a very good
that damn game. You never even know.
Right. We came out with a win. But, we slept on Wilson. We slept on that shitty secondary that they had, and we had no legitimate game plan. It was we were preparing for the next week, and that's ultimately what it boiled down to. And I think Nick Sirianni rolled into that locker room, and he's like, I didn't have to say anything to the team because I think that he knew damn well that they were not going to ever sleep on another fucking team like that again. And I think that that's going to be the same case going into this. He's not going to sleep on the New York Giants, at least in that first one. The second one, he might at that point it's probably not going to fucking matter. So
I might sleep on that game.
I mean, I'll take a nap. I'm down for a nap. But no, these guys are in a great spot, and coming off of a bye week, the offense and the defense needed this break, and I think that's what this boils down to. Now we're not going to get Vontae back, and it's unfortunate because. We harped on Vontae, but God, man, you know how bad I wish we had fucking Vontae back at this point because it.
That's why they keep him around. He is.
But we'll get Roby back.
He's good at what he does, and that's why they keep his hobbling ass around.
Yeah, he's sensational. I mean, I was not pumped when they drafted him because they had that Shaquille Griffin, that one-handed guy who was just absolutely blowing up the combine, and I just loved watching him, and I just wanted him on the team so bad, like an idiot. And then they took him, and I was mad. And man, Maddox, if he could stay healthy, obviously is a big if, but I think when you add Byard and
and also fuck that. So I mean, that was my other thing.
Yeah, that's the other thing. But like when you add Roby in and Byard in, and you have options with Ricks and other guys, you're gonna have some cohesiveness, but you also have options. So when you're scrambling and going, well, Slay's down and this guy's down and this guy's down, you at least have Even if they're getting a little cooked up there in their careers, you have people that at least know how to play the position that aren't counting on help from Slay and Bradbury, who aren't even in the game, and you have
Right.
an option to put out there. And some of these games, especially like with the Giants and other things, it's a good opportunity to get people. I mean, I know they said they would slow play Ringo, but like, I just can't be convinced that he's not a good option, at least to go out there and cover out deep.
Yeah, and as I think we're going to shift, I think, ever so slightly as some of these, especially as the safety positions start to become healthy again. I think we're looking at the potential to see guys like Sidney Brown shift, maybe even out, and have Bradbury shift it back in. I mean, there's a varying degree of options that we have at our disposal. Just based off of, I mean, Sidney Brown's speed alone,
It's
it
insane.
gives him great fucking ability. Yeah. So it's just it's a matter of figuring out what works for us right now. Because right now this very well might just be a fucking puzzle. We need to figure out the best way to put this puzzle together to get us to the finish line. Because the unfortunate truth is the injuries are going to happen. We need to be able to figure out how to adjust to them. At this point, I think they need to just put Nakobe Dean on the IR. Let the fucking dude get healthy for the rest of the season. Stop rolling his ass out there with the hope of him making an impact, because Cunningham is doing it, and these guys are handling the job just fucking fine. So
Mario has been playing great, and his
Right.
replacement, being on there. So
let's look towards the future. I'm not saying that the future shouldn't be now, because there's clearly reasons that we're going out, we're picking up folks like Bayard and things like that. Yes, we have great potential to win the Super Bowl this year, but we have a potential to also build a dynasty of a team here if we build this the right way. We still have a shit ton of fucking draft picks this year, because Howie didn't trade away jack squat going into the trade deadline.
no,
That's the fucking shocking part about this. The fact that we are still built to be able to draft and continue to build this team.
yeah, I think that's why they didn't make another trade. They probably wanted more of the draft capital that they had, and or either Ringo or Ricks or somebody that they knew that they're going to need this year. You know what I mean? Or every owner just blocked Howie Roseman's phone from even entering the building whatsoever.
That's a very good fucking possibility.
I mean, I would block him probably too, but I will say I think something nobody's talking about are like these impending extensions. Like Landon Dickerson is going to be due up. You're gonna have people drop off. Kelsey may retire. I don't think he'll ever retire. Even if he says he retires and they roll through training camp with a different center, I'm never going to be 100% convinced till that first snap.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. You're saying there's a chance. So for me, these contract extensions that are coming up, you have to figure out how to fit Devonta in. You have Goddard, who's going to be due, and that's going to be a huge decision, right? Huge choice, because he's getting older and has dealt with a lot of injury history, but there's not a lot of quality tight ends. So maybe you're looking at one of those draft picks as somebody who's a tight end replacement. And I kind of predicted in the first season show we had that Goddard was going to this will be his last year. And that's when, we started talking about Ertz and everything else and Selleck and their transition. That this could potentially be Goddard's.
We did talk about that when Homeboy was passing out during the show. And he was like, "Who you guys talking about? Who's that?"
I know for sure. I'm like, dude, you don't know who Selleck is? I don't know about that. Are you sure about that? Sure you're an Eagles fan? So he, but so I think that they could look to capitalize on a pretty deep tight end class that's coming up and actually add somebody in, especially there, and corners another spot, linebacker. But you have 2 seconds and a first round pick to play with, and no one saw AJ Brown trade coming, nobody. And then we got Davis in the same. So he's been dominating the draft for about 3 out of the last 5 years have been absolute home run steals, and depth, laying the foundation for now and the present. So My deal with Nakobe Dean was always that Cunningham is not a good pass coverage linebacker. Well, I'll be damned. What has he done? He put up a career best pass coverage. Career best.
Proves you fucking wrong.
Hell yeah. And I couldn't be happier. Couldn't be happier, man. That dude is a thumper. I mean, I said, he's one of the best linebackers in the NFL at stopping the run. He's a first and second down linebacker, pumped, but he can't come off the field.
Yeah.
He can't.
Not right now. Nope. He's in it. And just to touch real quick on the defense, I know we were talking about getting guys in and out. I was listening to an interview on WIP with Brandon Graham, and they were asking about his playing time. It's diminished significantly, and he's like, I love it. I'm not gonna lie. He's like, my old ass can stay fresh for these end of the games. He's like,
so that's why I said he's my player of the game
for so long.
Huge, right? Huge.
Me, we need to take a break.
Right. He had 2 tackles at the end of the game. And both of them were key fucking and not to mention obviously the force out of Dak Prescott going out and running into the for the 2-point conversion. I mean, this is kind of, and I don't want to fucking do it, but it's comparable to what we had in 2017, where it was we play this fucking next man up thing, and we're doing these things, and it's huge. This is a huge thing with these guys, and it obviously the big difference is it's Doug Peterson, and there's varying degrees of this, but Nick Sirianni has figured out a formula that one gets these guys behind him and buys into whatever it is that he's selling. I'm still not sure I even know what the fuck it is he's selling. It could be cold hot dogs in a fucking alleyway. I don't know. But these guys jump through fucking hoops for this dude. They're all in on this. Jalen Hurts takes accountability, which is the variation from fucking Carson Wentz and that season to this one. And it's the work ethic. You see the difference week in and week out. And I think that's where the biggest difference is when it came to Doug, it reminded me so much of Andy Reid and a lot of the same degree of coaching where we were rolling out the same product every week without ever really looking to possibly change it depending on what schemes were being thrown at us, because we eventually knew that the other team was going to break and we would figure out how to fucking just capitalize on that. This team, it's a different offensive scheme every time. It's a different defensive scheme every time. They're either playing up on the fucking guys, they're playing back. They're putting guys, they're loading the box, they're not loading the box. They're throwing all-out blitz like they did against Miami, where it seemed like there was always 5 or 6 guys going at the fucking quarterback because they knew the second that Tua started to get flustered, that was when he would start to make mistakes. So this is the one thing that has me intrigued, but at the same time, it has me going like, well, fuck, like, how do we even gauge this anymore? Because I don't have a gauging point anymore because it's not the same team every week.
Mm-hmm.
The gauge for me is winning.
Right.
And everyone's that's when we were talking before and people are like, oh, the sky's falling and everything's going. And I'm like, we're winning football games, and that is what the goal is. And, people talked about, we had to watch also on Good Morning Football about, how the 49ers were not only, Jamie Erdahl said, they're not only winning games, but they're like, basically, I'm paraphrasing, but convincingly winning games, right? Like they're doing it in a way that's more palatable to the average fan or whatever. And I look at that and think, who the fuck cares? You know what I mean? Like a win is a win, and you can play the Jersey Jets and you can lose. That will happen in the NFL. But the majority of the time, what are you doing? And that's your body of work. And then right after that episode, the Niners lost, and they haven't won since. I think that was like 4 weeks ago. And, and I don't think Hurts is And I don't think Hurts has thrown a pick since that happened either. And so you have a lot of people go back, that say, you criticize him or whatever. But when he threw that really bad interception, he comes back to the sideline and the team rallies around him. And it's like I always tell my son Quincy, like, don't make me catch you. You know what I mean? Be honest with me. Tell me what's going on. Let me hear it from you or whatever, because nobody wants to be hard on somebody that's already beating themselves up. And that true accountability. And like you said, perfect. Carson Wentz, no accountability. There are blinders on. And like Peterson and Reed were those kind of like high level college coaches that are like, like, I'm going to show up to coach the games, but I don't want to hear about any of the shenanigans or whatever. And Sirianni flourishes or blossoms into his role of CEO. And knowing, hey, these are where my strengths are. These guys do it better than I can, but this is what I'm good at. And it's a formula that works, checking your fucking ego. And when you can do it as a head coach, and your quarterback doesn't have an ego like that, it's going to spread to the rest of your team. And that's why the uncomfortable being comfortable and comfortable being uncomfortable thing resonates with me, because they will win in a variety of situations. They will thrive when adversity, it's 1st and goal on the 6 and you just blew the fucking game. Wentz is our quarterback. Anybody else, that same type of defense, we're losing that game. 11 times out of 10, pun intended with the 11.
Yeah, we got to put our team in a position to win. Time is yours.
Yeah.
I mean, we heard that shit every year for a decade and a half. So it's just like the fact that even Nick goes up there and has no problem taking accountability for. He's like, we dropped the ball on that, but at the same time, right? He will not. He reveals no game plan. Jalen Hurts reveals no game plan. Fucking reporters are begging for this dude to give any fucking kind of context as to, hey, how's your knee feeling? Good. He plays the fucking Marshawn Lynch game so bad.
It's so good. Yeah. Sirianni, he's such a
love him for it.
He's such a player's coach. It's not even funny. But then you have leaders in the right spots. You have one of probably the best leaders in all of NFL in Jalen Hurts. You have Kelsey in that locker room. You have Lane Johnson. You have Kevin Byard in the back, who they said stepped right into a leadership role the second that he got here. You have Slay. You have veterans in Cunningham and Fletcher Cox and Brandon Graham, and you have all these guys coming in. So it's like you just have veteran after veteran after veteran who doesn't pull the Ryan Tannehill of, I'm not going to show him how to play all this on what he did with Malik Willis.
Right. And Aaron Rodgers did it to fucking Jordan Love. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. So you have all these guys coming in, and as mad as I was after that Jets game, as soon as it ended, I was like, I'm glad that shit's over so I can go on next week, because I knew it wasn't going to happen the next week. I knew it wasn't going to happen. I had no worries about it, because Jalen Hurts as a guy isn't going to allow him to do it. And I know we're talking on defense here, but Jalen Hurts, when the Eagles are leading, he has 63.6% completion percentage for 1,000 yards, 6 touchdowns, 8 picks, and a 67 rating. When they are trailing and we're tied, he's 73% for 1,400 yards, 13 touchdowns, no picks, and a rating of 119.
Damn, dude.
It is.
And Dak Prescott in that same statistic, right? They showed on TV. He's like almost dead last.
And everything.
Yeah, and people talk about that, and it was the best because they said, oh, the weapons around Jalen Hurts, right? They always, as you said, the constant moving goalpost. Well, I don't know if you saw the graphic where Noah Brown and Dalton Schultz and Amari Cooper, they lit it up, man. They were some of the top stat guys, and they were all on the same damn team. He's had weapons. He had a prime Zeke Elliott. They had an impact offensive line for years with great impact people there.
2 1,000-yard rushers last year.
Yeah, like
it's double standards. It's double standards out the ass, and it always has been.
It's annoying as hell, and But you look at it and you get, like, to me, that the most interesting thing is, as glad as I am not to have to sit here for a fucking bye week and think, oh my God, we lost to the Cowboys. How does this impact? Now I have to eat
That'd have been the
shit
longest
Twitter
2 weeks of my life.
ever. Oh my God, dude. It happened. I mean, I was as crazy as I've ever been. And my poor son's sitting there like sick on the couch. And I'm looking at him like, this is huge. And he's like, I just want to go to bed. You know, like everybody but him.
All of this.
Yeah, like you will watch the whole thing, right? He was born the year we won the championship. So I was holding them almost the whole Super Bowl. So we always call him Lucky Charm. And you know, so he does whatever he can to get into it. You know, he just turned 6, so he has about this much interest, and I mean time span. But I love this team's resiliency. I love that they will adapt to different situations. I can't emphasize this enough. I don't think we could have played worse as far as situational awareness. Football, you know, the ball could have bounced. You know, we fumbled it 3 times, but no picks. Tons of penalties, bad play call at the end with that long pass to Brown. Like you said, go for it or not, but don't, you know, heave it.
Yeah.
And we still came out and won the game. And it could have been better, worse, whatever. The ultimate thing is they're one of the better defenses in the NFL, and we were 3 for 3 in the red zone. We converted exactly where we needed to. Devonta got going. I'm glad to see the streak end because I think you naturally get focused on those types of things, even as a quarterback. But it's only going to get better.
I'm glad he didn't force feed him for that record. Like, and AJ Brown said it. And AJ Brown said it first. He said he could care less about the record. It was like, it's really cool. I might say go me in the off season. He's like, but I want to win, and that's what it is. So whether that's me catching one ball for 8 yards and a touchdown and a win, or 11 balls for 200 yards and a loss, give me the one for 8 and 1, and let's get this thing going to next week. And
keep the main thing, man.
And that's what it is. It's so overlooked and overshadowed, and everybody's like, "Oh, you got outplayed, did all this, did all that." And I'm like, and we played the worst, and y'all still lost. So what does that tell you about both these teams? They're not
it.
Exactly. All right. Well, let's go ahead and roll into the last segment, and we obviously don't have a game this week coming up, but definitely can talk about MVP odds and and see if maybe any lines have changed prior to that Monday Night Football game. I mean, I think you can actually start betting on them now. So let's go ahead and roll into Hit 'em High. Hit 'em Low.
Hit 'em High, Hit 'em Low is brought to you by Diet Smoke and Delta 8 Gummies. Use code OCSN to get 15% off your first order at dietsmoke.com. Definitely go there, put the code in, get the discount, have the most relaxing bye week. Say bye-bye to the day and take a gummy and just knock yourself out. Have a great motivate. Have a great old time.
No vapes.
No vapes, can't do it. No drinks, sorry, can't do it. That's what reminds me of free hot dogs for life, but no drinks, can't do it.
No vapes.
No vapes. Wow, that is very classy sounding promo.
Oh, yeah.
Just crushed it, crushed the whole thing. So a couple things we can talk about last week. So the over-under was set at 46.5 points, and I think the total was 51.
Correct.
Right, so pretty darn good. Covered that spread. We said to go over. We went over. Tommy, you said you're more comfortable betting the line, and that would have been golden too, baby, because we went ahead and crushed both marks, but for the both over under and the actual point total.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. The 3.5 thing, I was like, God damn it. So the fact that they were over the 3.5, that was a big one. So yeah, it's they I guess they met Vegas's intent, right? It's
and Eagles have covered the majority of the games this year, so they're turning into a pretty safe bet. But you're seeing the statistics and the actual payable odds really, really drop because they've been kind of steady Eddie as far as gambling is concerned, right? So you're starting to get worse and worse odds. Speaking of worse and worse odds, Brock Purdy's MVP odds, boy, couldn't happen to a nicer guy. And speaking of hot dog vendors, he's probably going to be one by the end of the season. So he's at 2,500. Oddly enough,
will be easier for the quarterback next.
Yeah, and Trevor Lawrence.
What's coming of fucking Joe Montana? What are you talking about?
Damn it, Matt told you it's Joe Montana.
Joe Montana.
Oh, that's right.
Guy looks like a fucking, and he looks like a fucking life insurance salesman. Like, good on you, man. I'm Husker fan, but I watched Iowa State games and saw whatever he did more with he did less with more, more often than not. The occasional upset, and that was it. But
there's some folks out there that know about doing more with less that are listening right now. So it's definitely, yeah. I mean, yeah. No,
that's accurate, man. I'm just telling you right now that Brock Purdy, I just do not trust. I mean, if people are buying in all that shit, good luck.
If you are relying on the receiver to be the guy that is going to be the one that dictates these odds, that is a problem. And I think that is ultimately what this is boiled down to. I think Brock Purdy has been labeled so high because of the factors that Deebo Samuel was contributing to this team. You saw how quickly he fell from grace because of Deebo being out. I mean, you look at Jalen. You have A.J. Brown and we have Devontae. Now, yes, it's the best 1-2 punch combo probably in the NFL at this point. However, he spreads the ball to a lot of varying different people. Swift gets the ball out of the backfield. Goddard gets the ball. Zacchaeus had a pretty good catch that the one for 8 yards that ended up getting him the first down. It's a huge. There's the thing I hate is that everybody factors, and I think this has a lot to play in with Patrick Mahomes too. If you are going to continue to be, because, and I think Carrington, you've been adamant about this when it comes to the NFL MVP, it's a quarterback award. It just flat.
Yeah.
And the fact of the matter is that if Patrick Mahomes doesn't have Travis Kelce, he's not the MVP. Yeah, I mean, there's no other fucking getting around it. If Travis Kelce's not there, he's not the MVP.
Who doesn't have Tyreek?
And where I think Jalen Hurts separates himself from that is the ability that for him to be able to throw it to 4 or 5 different guys and to be able to give the same amount of offensive yardage and do it just as effectively as Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen, because I mean Diggs is it. I don't really. Knox is not. Yeah, there's too much of a varying. The varying factors that come into the MVP voting it pisses me off. Jalen Hurts is never going to get his due diligence until Patrick Mahomes doesn't have anybody to throw to, and then all of a sudden Patrick Mahomes ends up hitting 7, 9, however many fucking guys it is that he ends up hitting. But Jalen Hurts is never going to get his due diligence with this until Patrick Mahomes disappears. So it's unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a narrative that seems to always be around. Pat Mahomes was the greatest quarterback ever when he had Tyreek and Travis Kelce and Edwards-Helaire, and he had good offensive line, and they were doing all this. He was the greatest thing ever. Still, phenomenal quarterback, throwing for all these yards. He has Tyreek and Jalen Waddle. Jalen Hurts throwing great with, A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert out. It's just because of the weapons that he has. It's like, wait, why does this not with the other two? And then, with what's going on here, it's just like, whatever, guys. Like, it's just fucking, it's wild from a money standpoint for, I guess, betting or whatever it is for MVP odds, but it drives me wild as a sports fan listening to people talk about it.
So, Carrington, everything you just sent over, is that true?
Yeah.
No shit, really.
Yep. So looking at their
So
stats and everything else.
This begs the question. I mean, like why? Is
Name.
it?
It's strictly name, and that's all it is.
Great, but this is the thing, right? So the MVP is not supposed to factor into the Super Bowl MVP odds. That's supposed to be a totally separate. These are supposed to be divested from each other. Based off of everything that I just see there, Jalen Hurts is the MVP last year.
Yeah, it should have been.
And as of right now, I mean, I'll be dead honest with you. I have Jalen Hurts above Patrick Mahomes 6 times over.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked to many Chiefs fans that are diehards and everything else, and they all, agree, like, there's some stuff going on with their offense. Like, it's got some stuff, as we like to say in my house. Like, when situation's really sideways, it's got some stuff, like the receivers aren't quite clicking. Kelsey getting up there in age. When he's in there and producing, it's a whole different deal. It's a matchup nightmare for anybody. But Hurts has outplayed him, and he has this year significantly. He's outplayed him, or at least equaled him with a better record.
Right, and I think that speaks to. I mean, it might speak more to the team. Our defense has been. There's been varying entities where our defense has been the sole reason why we've won games. I mean, the Miami game in particular, I think, is we punched Miami in the mouth, and I think it has a lot to do with our defense and the impact that they made. However, the difference between Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady is that Tom Brady was able to do a lot of the things that he was able to do as an MVP with virtually nobodies, and continue to be able to do that year after year. Patrick Mahomes, the second he loses Travis Kelsey, them 3 or 4 weeks, Patrick Mahomes looked like a shadow of himself, a complete fucking shadow of himself. And even that first game that they lost, because he didn't have Tyreek Hill to throw to, and Travis Kelsey was the sole fucking person that he had to be able to go to, it was predictable. It made him very predictable. But this is not something that's foreign to us as Eagles fans, because Andy Reid's offense has always been very fucking predictable in regards to how it is that he's going to construct it and the way that he is going to execute that said offense. Yeah. He relies heavily on the tight end. We know that that's a thing. He's not going to go to his run game unless he is totally he loses the complete and total ability to be able to execute his passing offense. And at that point, he didn't have anybody else to fucking throw to. The one guy was dropping balls like fucking crazy. I can't remember who the second string guy is there, but he was dropping them like they were
Tony.
It was fucking hot potatoes. Like he was getting it thrown to, and it was hitting him in the hands, and he was dropping. But it kind of speaks to the predictability of this, and this is the one thing that Jalen Hurts is a factor in all facets, because of his ability to be able to adjust to the systems relatively easily, and it's not something. I don't want to say that Patrick Mahomes can't do it. It's just that Patrick Mahomes takes a longer time to adjust to it.
That's and because Jalen Hurts is the system, to quote, James Harden that just left out of here.
Right. Well, I mean, thank fucking God he's gone too. But that's a topic for another show. Yeah. But no, it's exactly, Matt. And that's what it boils down to. It's the system is being built. Yeah.
Any good coach doesn't force feed their system to a quarterback. They will tailor their system around the quarterback that they have. You know what I mean? So,
right.
Or else you're just going to be screwed. You're not going to ask Jalen Hurts to drop back 60 times to throw the football. That's not his strong suit to do 60 times a game.
No,
You know,
and when
as
he
we've
he
seen,
did it 45, we were like, "What the fuck are y'all doing? Like, what are you doing?"
yeah, he's good in that 20, 25, 27 range with running the ball 8 times and hand the ball off. You know, because he
Right.
even with the 25, you know, we'll just say 25 pass attempts, it's mostly going to be 20 for 25 for 242 to 270 yards and probably 2 touchdowns coming in and another rushing touchdown. That's 21 points right there without anybody else from the running back committee doing anything for that point. So it's like I'll take that 10 out of 10 times and you know, you have that rather quickly a lot of times, which a lot of these passing yards end up coming in. We're not building the leads like we did last year, where we're up by 35 by halftime, but you know, it's a passing league in the NFL as it is. You get up by 10, teams aren't running the ball 17 times on the next series, the way it's clocked, like that's gonna be throw, 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 throw.
Yeah, I
Right.
mean we're getting almost an average of 38 pass attempts against the Eagle defense, right? So also you're having deals where the Eagles are establishing their identity just as last year as killing large portions of the clock. They're taking away, maybe not exactly with these huge big scores, but they're taking away the opportunities that the offense is going to have. So they know like we need to open it up. We can't afford to be as patient as we would like to be. Whether I'm like
Right.
Andy Reid's never going to be patient with the run game, but like you're taking a risk saying, hey, they may get this ball back, and if they catch fire for a couple drives, we may not see it again this half, you know, or see like real significant possessions. And so you're seeing them come out of halves and really, really establish that power run and taking every single second off the clock. And you could see Dak Prescott over there just literally pacing and waiting, like get him off the field, and they just couldn't. And from then they crowded up the box like we're going to really light this thing up. And he throws the best throw of the year by any quarterback to Devonta Smith in the end zone. And I mean that's why like that boom bust rate chart I just sent you.
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts is at the very, 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 very upper right echelon, which is where you want to be. And you have Patrick Mahomes right now just hovering above the median.
Yeah.
And in fact, Sam Howell has had more efficient passing plays or more consistent efficient passing plays than he has this year. So I think it speaks a little to the AFC competition too. But
No, absolutely. I mean,
I mean, one thing that really shocks me on there is CJ Stroud. You're getting ready to look.
phenomenal.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
His-
And you know, Sam Howell's second in the league in passing yards. They're just back down there in Washington, just slinging that thing with Bieniemy in charge. So
Yeah.
Um,
And D'Amico Ryans.
D'Amico down there in Houston, baby.
so
D'Amico.
so some sports books have Lamar Jackson as the favorite for MVP, which I don't have a problem with because if you look, we're talking about but if you're talking about keeping the main thing, like we got to keep it a buck. Like Lamar Jackson's been one of the most consistent winners. He really has. If you look at his statistics, he's turned out a lot of wins. Now their schedule hasn't been very hard necessarily this year yet, but they're going to hit the kind of like the Eagles hit their tough stretch coming up. But most books have Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes in a veritable tie for MVP right now.
So the Lamar Jackson thing has me kind of perturbed a little bit.
The only substantial win that I'll give them is like just this past weekend where they just laid a beat down on Seattle.
Like
But
this, I don't get it.
I get the win record thing, but you're gonna give a quarterback who has as many games played as he does touchdown passes so far this year. He has 9.
And that's and I mean, a lot of Baltimore's success is attributed to that defense, and that's always been the case in fucking Baltimore. Always been the case in Baltimore.
Yeah, I would say if you watch games.
Joe Flacco is not going to the Hall of Fame, Carrington. So let's
but what are we talking about? We're talking about winning the main thing. He may not be going to the Hall of Fame, but what did he do? He won a Super Bowl. All right, and he did it with consistent play. He did it with steadying play. And while we can look back and laugh at Joe Flacco now, you know, and how the career he got a huge ass contract. right? One of the highest contracts there was at the time. There was belief that he was the guy, and they had a lot of things happen with, retirements. People fell off, the Ray Rice situation, et cetera, et cetera. But since Lamar Jackson's come into the league, he started 70 games. He has won nearly 75% of his games. All right, and only Tom Brady with a 200 start for his stat has the same or better winning percentage. I'm not saying he's the most dynamic whatever quarterback, but what I am saying is he's winning. And if you look at Baltimore, they've only recently started to really put true weapons around him. And even the ones we're talking about, like what Odell Beckham, whatever's left of him, Zay Flowers, an underperforming late, you have Mark Andrews. He's a great tight end. I'd love to have him in Philly too. A great tight end, but he's not necessarily a field stretcher, right? That's their best offensive player after Lamar. You've had every running back I can possibly name in the NFL has played for Baltimore and torn their Achilles, right? So, yes, they have a great defense.
My thing comes in is just like for the 37 points that they put up against Seattle, Lamar Jackson was responsible for zero. Zero of those points he was responsible for. Yeah, he ended up with 187 yards and no touchdowns. 10 carries for 60 yards and no touchdowns. They had 3 rushing touchdowns and a backup quarterback threw a passing touchdown and 4 field goals by Justin Tucker. So it's like I guess I just don't get it. And I know my hatred for Lamar Jackson probably gets in my way a little bit. Like it's probably unfounded at this point. But I don't get it because I feel like if the shoe was on the other foot and the NFL is looking at Jalen Hurts who has 9 passing touchdowns and was responsible for no points. If we put up 37 on somebody, this isn't even a conversation that he's not even in the top 10 of MVP voting.
No, not at all. And that's the part that
I guess I'm just frustrated by because I'm like, why?
Tua, based off of his ability to perform up until this point. Now, granted, the Eagles beat his ass, and they made him look bad. I think Tua was above Lamar Jackson. Outside of that, I mean, you can make an argument for CJ Stroud as being a fucking MVP if you really wanted to get down to it. Because the Houston Texans look better than I think anybody ever fucking anticipated this was going to be.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is that Jalen Hurts is by far and large showing that his ability. Now I get it. The significant amount of turnovers has affected the stat line and where he's fallen on this.
And people's perception.
Well, that's what it is. A lot of it is perception.
But perceive this however the fuck you feel like. The fact of the matter is that the Eagles are 8-1, and the next closest team is Patrick Mahomes, and you have Lamar Jackson above them all.
Above who all?
You said Lamar Jackson was number 1, right?
Yep, Lamar Jackson's number 1. You can find sports books where he and Hurts are tied. Overall, I'd say Mahomes has 2 or 3 that are, his is number 1. I mean, you have 3 or 4 different sources, right, on this. But what I take Lamar Jackson as MVP over Hurts or Mahomes, or even honestly, Joe Burrow by the time the end of the season is over. No, I probably wouldn't. But winning the MVP goes to the best player, typically a quarterback, on a winning team. And right now, the Ravens are a hot team. They're winning a lot of games, and Lamar Jackson is winning 75% of his games. And I know you look and go, oh, is that defense so spectacular that it's just mind blowing? No, it's not. Has he had the weapons to really have a formidable passing game? They let his best tackle go to Kansas City. You know what I mean? Or at least at the time. And
it's not. It's not. Lamar Jackson is. I just don't see how he is the.
No.
Yeah, I'm not trying to sell you that Lamar Jackson's an MVP player. I'm saying
it just came out of nowhere. Like we weren't even
Vegas-
talking about Lamar Jackson on the MVP voting the last couple of shows. Then it's like they win 37-3 with 0 points responsible from Lamar Jackson. It's like, oh, MVP. It's like, wait. Like I said, I'm looking at CJ Stroud here with 2,200 yards passing, 14 touchdowns, and 1 pick.
Right.
No, it's outstanding.
One win last year.
And what's their record? You know the Texans' record.
They're 4-4 right now.
So 4-4 is not going to get it done for MVP,
No,
guys. We all know that. If he had 40 touchdowns and no interceptions, nobody's gonna pick that.
The fact that he's even at the top of the fucking list right now is the thing that baffles me the most.
Yep.
The fact that is your gauging point right now is Lamar Jackson. Like that's the stupidest fucking thing in the world.
Well, and look at Trevor Lawrence, right? Like he's sitting down there at plus 2,000. He's barely scraping by above Brock Purdy. And I feel like I could make a good case for Trevor Lawrence resurrecting the Jag season this year.
But Carrington, I'm more inclined to put AJ Brown above Lamar Jackson than I'm. This is,
I'm putting
right,
AJ,
and this
I'm putting Tyreek. I'm putting a couple players above.
Where do you guys where do you pull this shit from?
That's the whole point, guys, is that what we talked about was it's not the best player, it's not the best this, it's not even the best, it's the best situation, and it's the optics that it's fucked, but that's like if they did it off of statistics or they had any type of ironclad benchmarks, but they don't. It's the hot guy, it's the hot person in the moment, and I don't know why Lamar Jackson would be, a number one with Hurts and Mahomes. I can't believe Hurts isn't the clear-cut number one. First of all, like some people have him. I think FanDuel's the only site that has Hurts as the MVP favorite right now.
That's probably why I use FanDuel the most.
Yeah.
Explains a lot.
And even that's shifted before. But like I look at it and I get why people are inclined for Lamar Jackson because of the winning percentage, and that's a big deal. But it's really more of a testament to I'm with you, but winning is all, right? And quarterback's the most important position. Whatever. So if you're not losing the game, you're going to get the credit, and that's not right. But it is.
Giving Trent Dilfer a MVP vote for that 98 team that they had that allowed 10 points a game. Like you go out there, score a touchdown, you're going to win.
Yeah, Ray Lewis scored more touchdowns, probably.
Yeah, and like I said, I know you're not sitting here saying Lamar should be it. It's just I'm sitting here just like, where did these guys who put these numbers out here? Where did they get it from?
Because there's a very good possibility that the fucking Ravens don't make the playoffs at all. There's a very good possibility.
Yeah.
And you're still going to give Lamar Jackson the fucking MVP? Like, that's the part that baffles me the fucking most.
Yeah, I've been telling you since we've been doing this, and he was Hurts was plus 2,000 or whatever it was, or plus 1,750, and I was like, this is bullshit. Like, what does the guy have to do? Like, I'm on your side, but I look at the odds and stuff with Jalen Hurts, and do I think he can get over that hump? I mean, it shouldn't be about the Super Bowl, but I think we would have to just win the Super Bowl this year, and then Hurts might be able to win it next year. That's even though he should be in line to win it this year. People
should be in line to win a second in a row.
Yeah, Mahomes is God to people, and that's just the way it is. Now this year he's showing some mortality. And if he drops off or they, stumble into the playoffs, maybe you'll see somebody else. But like Christian McCaffrey is sixth in MVP odds, right? But no AJ Brown.
Makes no sense.
It doesn't. I mean, you have a guy absolutely tearing it. Not even Tyreek is in there.
Yeah.
Jared Goff is in there before he is.
Where's Cooper Kupp?
Probably getting ready to start a landscaping business or an actuarial career, I would guess. Whatever like aggressively white people do, probably gonna be an accountant or a CPA or something.
Work at a prison or join the military.
Yeah, just just pick two jobs at random. Random.
Yeah, it's totally random.
So before Tommy's head explodes with MVP chatter, Let's talk about the early line too. So right now the Eagles are 3-point dogs, road underdogs, and the initial overall total is 46, which I feel very comfortable saying we will go over on a combination of our great offense and scoring in general. Also, we're going to get Cam Jurgens back. And I know I probably seem like a Nebraska homer, obviously, but I'm telling you, he makes all the fucking difference.
Yeah.
Numbers talk. You have to get in the right guard who is familiar with the guys he's playing next to. They're familiar to him. He knows all the calls and cadences being called out by, Kelsey coming in. He's able to pick up some of those blocks that maybe Steen wasn't, just on a sheer number of games played. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it's a number of games played for sure.
I mean,
For sure.
Super Bowl 2, we're looking at Chiefs are plus 500 still to go to win the Super Bowl. The Eagles have inched and clawed and fought their way back, and Vegas is finally comfortable putting them 50 points past the 49ers. I mean, you want to talk about some stupid shit, dude? Like, is the only reason the Dallas game I was like could put all my will towards that was because of how truly huge that game was statistically and everything else. Even above rivalry, statistically, we needed it. But Jesus Christ, do I want to beat the 49ers, dude? I want to beat them. Just blow the fucking doors off them because I'm sick of this shit.
Harrington, to be honest with you, man, I think at this point we're getting ready to roll into a potential winning situation against the Chiefs, as we've already kind of alluded to earlier. And I think that we beat the Buffalo Bills fucking handily. I'm not worried about the Buffalo Bills anymore. I'm just not. So we're going to roll into a game against San Francisco.
Potentially,
I mean, at that point, we may clinch the division depending on how fucking Dallas plays the next couple of days.
Yeah.
I mean, like it's.
It'll be the greatest thing ever if Washington overtook them for second place before the end of the season. That would just make
I jumped through hoops, Matt.
So we're negative 550, obviously, to win the NFC East currently, but they started off with already narrow odds of plus 100.
Yeah.
So I think it's pretty safe, although we'll see what goes. I know I should want the Chiefs more. I'm not saying I don't want to beat the Chiefs. Of course I do. But there's something about this 49ers discourse, man, that I'm fucking sick of them. I'm just sick. And I didn't even have really a hateful anything for the 49ers before that game.
It was until this off season when it was nothing but like just vaulted excuses from Niner after Niner after Niner after Niner, just saying, well, if we would have scored more points, we would have beat y'all. It's like, thanks a lot, John Madden. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Run faster. Yeah. I don't know what to tell you, man. Like, don't put a tight end on Hassan Reddick.
Now here's the guy. If he runs faster, he's going to beat everybody.
If this rule didn't exist for the last 10 seasons that everybody was aware of, we would have won the game. It's like, well,
right.
How about you block your guys and not get 3 quarterbacks murdered that season?
Well, and I'm sorry, what's happened this season that was different than last season? Exactly. They haven't protected him very well. And what happened? He's got the shit knocked out of him. He had the most miraculous concussion recovery I've ever seen. And that BYU looking asshole went out there and got knocked around again, dude.
Yep.
Doesn't he just look like he'd play for BYU?
Yeah.
No, not at all.
Little asshole. But that's pretty much it. I mean, there's prop bets and other stuff, but on a bye week, it's pretty scarce. Slim pickings.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
a little bit more. I know I'm taking the early bet. I'm taking that -3 Eagles in a heartbeat before it lowers itself close to that even margin, or even possibly in the Eagles' favor, maybe coming up, depending on how the injury report, works itself out. But taking that, and I'm taking the over coming out. I think it's going to be a fun game to watch on Monday night, coming out of a bye week for both teams. in Arrowhead on a Monday night game where it's going to be absolutely rocking the entire time. I know there's going to be a ton of Eagles fans down there. It's going to look like Christmas in that stadium with red and green coming in.
It will be. Yep.
Yeah.
You're going? You're going?
Hey, man, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, fucking Carrington. I'm jealous of you, dude.
I
Jesus.
know. I'll be sure to video chat you or something, and I'll
fucking better.
Yeah, we'll get some good stuff. I have the coolest wife ever who surprised me way early, and so we're gonna go down there and definitely tear it up, man. We're super pumped. Go Birds! And tear it up. And I'm obviously stoked. We have a lot of family who are Kansas City fans, and that's okay. Everybody has problems, right? Yeah. So we're gonna go down there and hopefully whoop it up. But you guys heard it here first, man. Lamar Jackson, 4 MVP from Tommy.
Fuck you.
It's not too late to use your Fanatics promo code to get that Lamar Jackson jersey. Yeah. Just shipped to you right away. Just type OCSN, for your first order, Tommy.
15% off.
I'm just gonna keep fucking hitting the button. There's your fucking Raven right there. You can shove that Raven right up your ass.
It knew his name, Thought Caw. We're gonna fucking whoop up on him, I hope, and get some revenge. That would be great. And the best thing about it is I feel like now we're truly playing with house money. I really do. I feel like this team's just starting to find its bearing. They're finding ways to win. People are taking ego out of it, and you can get that offensive line to hold up on those pressures a little bit. Man, you're talking a special kind of run here.
And I think with having a majority of the team from last year's Super Bowl loss back this year, they know what that feeling is like, and I don't think any of them wants to feel that again.
Yep. So, we're hungry.
We'll get
absolutely.
I know we're probably getting ready to wrap it up here. We'll do just one final thing. What was your favorite moment of the game yesterday or on Sunday?
Oh man. I
was told there'd be no math.
Somebody else go first. I got nothing right now.
Go ahead, Matt, you brainiac.
Right. So, I'm sitting here watching the replay of the Eagles-Cowboys game now. Is Jason Kelce absolutely screaming in the face of a Dallas Cowboy player while having him ripped up jersey, just absolutely at the top of his lungs, not even saying anything, just screaming square in his face. I'm just letting everybody know, like, everybody hates you guys. Everybody in this town hates you guys.
I'll tell you what, that moment was absolutely bonkers, and it's already on shirts and stuff.
Oh yeah.
I think for me, it was the sequence where not only was Dak Prescott short, and that hit was obviously just incredibly enjoyable. Yeah. For it just felt like we kind of got the monkey off our back a little bit. Like it felt like this isn't the same old. This is not the same shit, as that we're used to, right? But it was that tight end play where that guy Blankenship got him tackled because they scored the touchdown, and it felt like for all the cool hits and all the cool whatevers, and kind of like here we are back in this similar situation, familiar feeling once again. And they did that replay, and you could see the life drain out of the entire Dallas sideline. And I thought, they had another shot, but I thought, that's it. Like they fucked up. They kick a field goal there, even they're still in a better position, but they fucked up.
Yeah, it was really good because Reed got beat on a touchdown like that by Ferguson earlier in the game, and he kind of got caught peeking inside as like a little slant.
Right.
And he did not fight on at that time, and he was on his guy. There was no room for him to be going, and that's where it comes into play. You got to run that over the goal line.
But they get that stop, and there's nothing more deflating. You're on literally the inch line, and as most of our wives would probably attest, inches matter, and they mattered the most there, right? I mean, holy crap, man! The dude, all he had to do was just lean in a little bit. Like if his one knee went down before the other, like all of those things. And for him to get that stop and Blankenship to bounce back and have that week,
It was great.
So I'll be honest with you. I think that my and it's crazy that I kind of feel this way because I don't know if it has a lot to do with the fact that I kind of consider Dallas to be our Super Bowl every year when it comes to playing these games and things like that. But Brandon Graham getting that first sack in the fourth quarter to kind of drive them back just a little bit farther away from being able to get them investment of points. I kind of felt like that was my highlight moment because it harkened back almost to him sacking Tom Brady and fucking forcing that fumble. Now, obviously, it didn't force a fumble, but it gave me that same feeling. It made me feel like, oh shit, like we may have just locked this one up, and then as they continue to move the ball back farther and farther, and he's throwing it from the 35-yard line, it gave me the warm fuzzy that I needed to, because I was like, okay, he's going to throw this ball off. It's going to go into the end zone. It's going to get batted around, and we're not going to see anything of it. And then I saw CeeDee Lamb come down with it, and then those guys make the tackle at the fucking 2-yard line. I was like, okay. The release,
Not that it mattered.
right? The release that came out of my body.
Yep.
I flopped on the floor. I literally my heart rate was up to like 122, 123 ish, around that time. Now, mind you, I drink probably about like 4 monsters a day, and I get chastised for this on a regular basis. Yeah, I know you're out there listening, Janae, so don't shush it. But it's
That was great.
Absolutely.
I mean, this team gives me a warm, fuzzy feeling at this point in time, especially rolling into a fucking bye week.
I feel like we're never out of it.
It all feels possible. Like it feels possible. It feels like, like when we played and we were absolutely in a shootout, and then Foles comes in, and then we have that very close Atlanta game, and the ball goes in the end zone. Of course, Julio's going to catch that, man. Of course, he's going to catch that. It's Julio fucking Jones. And as soon as that ball sailed, I'm like, this is it. We've got the, we fucking got it, dude. But like, I feel like as far as moments go, release goes, everything else goes, I never felt fucking worse during that game. The only time I thought really, really, really bad was when they had it, first and goal, it's on the 6, and like, okay, here we are. Because it's pretty improbable, with all the people being so tired and, beat down, injuries, everything else. And for Graham to get that sack was pivotal. I also thought that punt, like I've been beating the Eagles for a punter for a grip, dude.
Man has been great the last couple of games. Ever since after his first game, he's been awesome.
Yeah, he has been his namesake, man. The man. Like he's been the shit. Like,
yes, he is the man.
And for once, Tommy doesn't have to, use the scotch to get the warm, fuzzy feeling, man. And you can
have this. I'm drinking the scotch regardless. I don't need the warm, fuzzy feeling. I'm there. We're good.
They could turn me. So I'm happy. I'm happy. That's a good ass question, Matt, because that game had its share of ups and downs. I wanted to crawl inside of myself and die as soon as I saw Hurts go down. And if you told me we ended that game with a win, I would have said, but how was Hurts? Right away. And for him to come out and get that run, that was an astute observation too, because when he ran that ball out, I thought, oh, here we go. We're back. Like we can do it. So
I felt better when I saw him jog in the locker room for halftime right after he limped off there. But I was like, but I also saw Carson Wentz walk into the tunnel and come out on crutches. So I was like, I was waiting for something crazy.
Exactly. Yep.
And then when he came out and he ran, I was like, okay, all right, we're golden pony boy. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, I think that's probably going to wrap this up for us, guys.
About 2.5 hours.
Right. Yeah, I can't fucking believe that. We knew that this was going to be a long one. We were going to be talking Dallas, so we anticipated this.
Eat shit.
Yeah.
Shit and duck phallus.
So obviously, Birds the Word is brought to you by Old City Sports Network. Be sure to check us out on Facebook at Birds the Word and Old City Sports. You can also check us out on Twitter at Birds the Word 57. You can also check us out at our individual Twitter handles, and you can also check out the Old City Sports Twitter at old, spelled OLDE _sport. A lot of good shows going on right now. Flyers are doing fairly well. We got 3 in the Keystone. They got some podcast stuff that they are tackling some of the other varying sports going on, and pretty sure we just picked up a union coverage sports net or sports show, and yeah, so there's a lot of things out there. Definitely, if you want to check out some of the things that Old City Sports is doing, be sure to check that out. And then Old City Sports is also going to be doing a lot of viewing shows and things at various breweries and stuff within the area of at least the Tri-County area, Delco and things like that. I think there's an intended viewing show at Hangman Brewing Company here in the very near future in Delaware. So be sure to check that shit out too, for the Flyers game. Outside of that, you guys have any go backs on anything we discussed tonight that we will probably regret here in the very near future, because we're rolling into a bye week. We got a nice little lull as we approach the competition against the Kansas City Chiefs on Monday night in Week 11.
No, man, just get everybody healthy. Get everybody healthy as much as possible. Get some cohesion with the secondary. Get my man Cam back on the line so we can get the running game rolling again.
Yep.
Hopefully, it's not the last we've seen of Penny. I'd love to also know what's going on with Boston Scott. But
Boston Scott was dealing with a personal. He stepped away for a personal reason, so I hope everything's okay on whatever he has going on. I think that's why he was out for this one.
Are we sure there wasn't 2 ends and it was a personnel issue?
Yeah, right. Dallas Goedert have surgery yet? I know he's getting ready to have surgery probably this coming week. So,
and that's going to be the rough one. But they're also saying that he might not be out as long if he does the surgery. So
4 weeks.
Reports are so
they're talking about 4 weeks, which would be good with this bye week coming up and get these next 3. But I don't want to rush him back. You know what I mean?
No, absolutely not. We picked up this tight end in the offseason.
Alberto.
Yeah, Alberto.
Alphabet.
Okiwegbon or something. Okiwegbon.
To be honest with you, we were not using him. We were not using Dallas Goedert all that very effectively in the beginning of the season. So revert back to whatever the fuck it was you were doing before, and continue to do this when he comes back. Yep. Yeah. No, I'm with you. That's kind of where my thought process is at. So
absolutely.
Right, well, with that, boys, I think we'll go ahead and call it a night. Always love coming off of a fucking Dallas Cowboys. We're rolling into a bye week. We get a nice little hiatus for us for a little while, but we will definitely pick up and do a pre-coverage prior to the Kansas City game on Monday night. Probably do that on Friday night, not this coming Friday, but next Friday, depending upon schedules and things that we got going on. But be sure to check us out. Also, like I said, be sure to check out the other shows on Old City Sports. I know that the Flyers Alley is going to be airing on Sunday. 3K is going to be on Tuesday nights, and yeah, there's some other shows out there. So if you have a varying interest in Philadelphia sports, be sure to check that shit out. With that, I think we'll go ahead and close it out, boys, and talk to y'all in a couple of weeks, right?
Go Birds.
Go Birds.
Go Birds.